You are listening to Peak One Sports.
Welcome to the Bungalow Sports Show. Let's have a round of applause. Joey's back. Welcome back. The writer's strike is over. The actor's strike is over.
As you can tell, he's not very happy.
He was able to come back. His agents let him make an appearance back on the show. The strike's over, you know what I mean? He got his deal done. It wasn't the deal he wanted.
No.
But it's the deal he's going to get.
He's been verbally abusive all morning. And so I think I might have to go on strike for a different reason now. Not for pay, for something else, you know?
I like how I am like verbally abusive, like in jest. It's all funny. It's all fun and games, you know, and then you make a big deal out of it, and then I apologize. And then you come right back with some bullshit, passive-aggressive bullshit that's not funny and not in jest, and you mean every word of it. And it hurts my feelings, but we're not going to talk about that right now because the strike is over.
Let's put some screenshots up, man. Let's let the people decide.
This show, like all shows on the Peak One Sports Network, is brought to you by Betalytics. The sponsor that just keeps going and going and going. They keep this ship afloat. They keep and they just keep rolling with us. We love Betalytics. We got people using Betalytics all over the country, all over the world, maybe making smart bets, not using their guts.
Don't use those guts.
And use AI. It's taken over everything else. It tried to take over Joey's job until the strike was over. But they're taking over your bets. But that's a good thing that you want AI to take over your bets because you want to win, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And AI always wins. So go to Betalytics.com, make your profile, use promo code PEAK1 for 25% off, and start winning your damn bets today. Today. Don't wait. We got Monday. As you're watching this, we got Monday Night Football tonight. So go on Betalytics, make a profile, and that 25% you save, you're going to make it all back because you're going to win your bets tonight.
Baseball championships, right? Playoffs?
Why do you got to say things in the most unsports-like way? Like, baseball championships?
Sorry.
Aren't they coming up? Baseball champion? Is it that... isn't that Supers Bowl? Isn't that right around the corner?
So
just playoffs.
So in Formula One, they call it championship.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
But I'm just saying.
God. Also, no thanks to Joey, we're brought to you by League Swipe once again. Fantasy sports, fantasy commissioners out there. If you need help, if you have a extra complicated league, unlike the one Joey's running where he, apparently doesn't need the services of League Swipe. They don't help because they don't help with these plebeian but baseball championships are right around the corner league.
I too run my own 12-man league and I need a lot of help.
You don't need any help because they're just unwilling to help your BS league. But if you've got complicated shit going on, if you've got multiple money payouts going out weekly, monthly, you've got, because there's some leagues out there that, it's just a headache to be a commissioner. Big money payouts. It's not just at the end of the year. It's game to game. Middle of games, different types of statistics garner different kinds of payouts, and people don't want to pay. So you get League Swipe, and they basically turn everything into a nice, neat little spreadsheet, and they'll be your door knocker, man. They'll be your head knocker. They'll go knock on these people's doors and say, "Hey, won't you pay up? Give us some money."
They are the one who knocks.
That's right. They're going to help you out at LeagueSwipe.com. And
Swipesenberg, dude.
Fantasy basketball, fantasy hockey coming around. Joey and I got a fantasy hockey league. I haven't played fantasy hockey in over a decade.
I've never played.
And we're diving in deep with a real big, legit league that's been around for many years. And we got an invite by Daniel, second co-host. We'll call him our hockey expert, Daniel.
I'm just gonna, yeah.
You're the co-host. Daniel's our hockey expert.
Slit my throat on live.
You'd be like that congressman who blew his brains out on live TV.
Yeah.
You gotta like apologize to your family. But anyways, Daniel's a picket line crosser. He don't care about the strike.
No,
he's a scab. But he does know a lot about.
I have to say something. He's making it seem like I didn't want to show up. He canceled on me like 3 weeks in a row. And it's okay because I had other stuff going on, obviously. He's berating me because I decided to go back to school.
You had other more important stuff going on.
I didn't say that.
Like
I didn't say that.
Like a loser. Who does homework?
I had to, dude.
Loser.
I have to.
Adult homework. God. When I was
is that
college,
what this is all about?
You know what I did when I was in college, when I was an adult and still going to school?
What'd you do?
I sat in an Adirondack chair next to a fake river and wrote lyrics to my next band's album.
So when I was in school before, right? Like actually in school, that's what I would do too. And I would ace the test and I would turn in my What's
the problem?
This time it's like just assignments.
So you got dumber.
I didn't get dumber. I didn't get dumber, dude. That's not what I said. Don't mischaracterize what I'm saying. Objection, Your Honor.
That's your new nickname, Joey Adult Homework Foster.
No, it's not, dude. I would take brown bags over that any day.
I furthering anyone's education, especially when you're a dullard like Joey, it's always good.
You know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to go to finance. I'm in school for finance.
You're trying to get out of this show.
I'm going to school for finance, dude. So I can. No, Cole's trying to push me out of this show. I can feel it. First it was Clay, then it was Daniel.
I can feel it.
You know what I mean?
I can feel it.
Who's next, dude?
I can feel.
You're gonna have Wayne next?
I'm like one of those Native Americans who puts their ear to the ground and can hear the train coming.
Oh, is that what that is?
I see.
Can you taste the dirt too?
I see the future, and I see Joey trying to better himself to get away from this show. And I mean, sorry if I'm just trying to prepare for the future and I'm trying to get all these other people prepared to like fill a void, and you're an unfillable void. Maybe you should be flattered that I'm bringing in experts like Daniel to fill the big shoes that you've left.
Maybe you should be happy that I'm going to school for finance so that we can actually make money off of this show.
Well, one day,
and here
when
at Peak
you're
One,
off on
I'm
Wall
the only
Street,
person thinking of the future to support this company.
We don't need that. We don't need you. Why? So you're going to create?
Okay.
When you're out in New York creating a Ponzi scheme to fleece the elderly.
Is that what I said I wanted to do?
That's all finance people do, is fleece the elderly.
I just said I want to support this company.
Yeah, with money that you fleeced from the elderly.
Is that what I'm... Yeah,
Madoff.
Can you imagine,
Joey, that's your new nickname. Another new nickname. Joey Bernie Madoff Foster.
Can you imagine Peak One has like a set of, like, it's like a whole building, and like just like an offshoot of the building is just me, a call center, just calling everybody, trying to... scamming everybody.
Selling reverse mortgages and shit. Yeah. Or whatever, retirement plans, fake retirement plans,
life insurance policies.
That's right.
Yeah,
just with a $5,000 down payment, you can get this life insurance policy. 98-year-old woman
with a mere $6,000 investment.
That's it.
It can be upwards of $60,000.
Just don't die soon.
I have
87-year-old woman.
I have watched The Wolf of Wall Street many times. I can do this.
He's already got the Quaalude part down. He's just got to get the numbers part down.
Yeah.
This show is also brought to you by the Peak One Sports Network merch store.
Oh.
Bonfire.com/store/Peak One Sports. Go and get all of the merch, all the shirts that me and Joey and our funny little quibs that we think of, and I go put on shirts. They're up there.
Notice how Daniel's name wasn't in that scenario right there.
Notice how
playoff expert.
You know what? I tried
sweep daddies.
Bitterness.
Mr.
I'm just gonna make a shirt with your face on it that says bitterness.
Bitterness.
Joey Bitterness Foster. That's your new nickname.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a shirt with all your nicknames on it. But yeah, as Joey said, baseball championships are around the corner, so go get your official playoff expert shirt. Go get a Sweep Daddy shirt. We're gonna have some of those in the baseball championship.
October's coming up, Mr. and Mr. October.
Mr. and Mr. October. That's gonna be a hot one. I'm gonna put that one on the front page.
Yeah.
Because it is officially October.
Yeah.
I got to get one.
It is, huh? It's the 1st today.
Today is the 1st of October
Wow.
as we're recording this. As the people are listening, it's October 2nd, but, we won't talk about that. But, yeah, all the shirts we talk about, all the shows, they've got shirts. bonfire.com/store/Peak1Sports. Go check it out.
Whoa.
Loosey Goosey update. Loosey Goosey back from their bye week with a trouncing of the Heat Waves, 8-3. We're just playing some of the best hockey the Geese have ever played. We've got a core group that have been together for 2 seasons now. This last game just happened to be a special one. We actually had a full roster for the first time this season. We were able to put together not just an OG Goose line, but an OG Locust line. The Locust is the team that predated the Geese.
Yep.
And we had me at center, Wayno on the left, and Clay Ball Ruddy on the right.
Wow.
Both of those gentlemen scored 2 goals in the first period.
Oh, man.
I had assists on all of them.
Wow.
No, 3 of them. I'm sorry. One was a defensive pass to Clay, and he just took it in and sniped it.
Nice.
Your boy here, what were my stats? I went and had to lay down my stats. Since I didn't score any goals, I had to get out the other ones. I had 5. I was +5.
Okay.
I had 3 assists, and I won 6 faceoffs.
Do you have any hits, dude? Did you hit anybody?
It's a non-checking league, okay?
Oh, well.
But I did.
But you did hit somebody. Yeah.
It was totally by accident. I cover it up because, as soon as I hit them, I just follow them down. I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And they're always like, "Yeah, you're all good. You're all good." And then I'm just like, "Fuck you."
I was just kidding.
I'm not sorry. And then I skate away.
Yeah. Cross checks in the back of the head.
But yeah, the Geese, they're on a roll. This week, we play the Bungalow Sports Show resident hockey experts team.
Ooh.
The Bronze Tigers and Daniel Costa.
Who's he calling in this week? To bring in his ringers, dude.
He's got a full steady roster. He's got a lot of, he's like Santa Claus this season. He brought in a lot of beginners. He's got literally half his roster is beginners.
No way.
But they got the sweetest looking jerseys with matching socks in the league. They're so cool looking. I'll take a picture.
All thanks to Epic Hockey, right?
I'll make sure me and Daniel take a picture together before the game starts and we become enemies, so you can see their cool jerseys.
How come we don't take pictures
only
together, dude?
Because you don't play hockey. Second only to the Geese jerseys. They're the best, and they're not. And I guess Geese would have to be second because we don't have matching socks. You know what I mean?
No, but you guys have track pants.
What?
I don't know. I was trying
track pants.
I don't know, dude. Sorry.
Was that one of the funny jokes you tell in jury duty?
All my friends at jury duty laugh at my jokes. I forget that Cole's such a fucking comedy critic.
Well, it was. I try to do comedy, and then I'll laugh. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't.
Track pants doesn't. How does that make sense?
It was
How
funny.
is that a joke?
It was funny.
Why do track pants have to do with hockey?
I don't know. I just thought it was funny. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
We have track pants.
I'm sorry.
Whoa.
In this relationship, I am the guy because I feel like I'm apologizing all the time to Cole.
And what did I tell you in the chat yesterday?
You said
stop apologizing for shit.
But you want me to apologize. I know you do. I know he does.
I don't want you to apologize because there's no apology accepted.
Let's move on.
You can't apologize for a bad joke like track pants. You haven't been in here in 2 months, dude. I have to get all of this out of the way. But yeah, so this week, 8:15 p.m. If you are in the Stockton area, why don't you swing by Oak Park, free admission, and watch the Geese take on the Tigers. First time ever you're going to see a Goose beat the shit out of a Tiger. You'll never see that on YouTube, but you're going to see it at Oak Park Ice Arena on Wednesday, October 4th at 8 p.m. So yeah.
How was that joke better than track pants, dude? Track pants was solid. I'm just kidding. That was another failed joke. Sorry, guys. I'm rusty. I'm sorry. Onward.
Okay. Should we just start the show over again? Welcome to the Bungalow Sports Show. Let's talk about some real sports. college football. I don't talk about it much, but I always got to bring up the CU Buffs because it's, I don't follow college sports that well except for the big stories going on, and the biggest pop culture story is the CU Buffs and Coach Prime. But this week the story is not Coach Prime. It is his son, Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback of the CU Buffs. The CU Buffs took on USC this week, and Heisman winner, double Heisman hopeful this year, Caleb Williams. I put out my little clip last week of the show saying that all you haters out there who were just, the Cinderella story's over when the Buffs lost to Oregon. They were supposed to lose to Oregon. They were supposed to lose to UFC. I keep saying UFC.
It's okay.
It's like Pavlovian.
Right.
You know what
Freudian
I mean?
slips, dude.
But they did lose to USC, but 48-41. They lost by 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
So that is nothing to scoff at. But the story with Shedeur is like they had a big comeback. He was 30 for 45, 371 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, up against Heisman winner, Heisman hopeful, Caleb Williams, who was 30 for 40, 403, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. Very similar stat lines for what are supposed to be 2 very skill-wise different players. And the Sanders boys, whether it's Shedeur or Shiloh or whether it's anybody who's really shining on that Buffs team, I hope just slowly the haters are going to fade away. Because first off, how do you not like Deion Sanders? I guess if you just didn't like him as a player back in the day, but if that was the case, you're a hater too, because how do you not like him? Like, he was a guy who, he talked shit, but he backed up every second of it. He wasn't just one of these guys who talk shit just to talk shit. And now he's not even talking shit anymore. He's like the most positive guy. All these other people
prime time, dude,
talking shit about him just because he keeps receipts and then addresses those receipts in the press conference doesn't make him an asshole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make you an asshole to respond to people who are talking shit about you, especially when your team outshines what those people were talking about. But Shedeur Sanders, just period, like, people saying that he couldn't be an elite quarterback. You're bringing in this guy from Jackson State, and it's your son, and all this nepotism type shit and whatever, blah, blah, blah. The guy is a fucking elite quarterback. He's an elite quarterback. He's doing this stuff also the last 2 weeks without the best player on that team, which is Travis Hunter. He's the number 2 wide receiver in the country and the number 2 cornerback. He plays both ways. He plays over 150 snaps a game. He's injured right now, and Shedeur is still throwing for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, and it's just it's a good story either way. So if you got anything bad to say about it, I will say it again.
I call it nepotism, dude.
Eat my dick. Nepotism only works when the person isn't good.
That's not true.
Yes,
no,
it is, because sports, we say it all the time. Sports can only be a meritocracy. So nepotism can get you in the door. But if you throw 4 interceptions and 1 touchdown, you're not starting next week.
Well, I can't work for my dad's work because he would be in charge of me. What makes it okay that he can work at his dad's work?
You're not good at your job. No.
Fuck you.
Job. I just said sports.
Yeah,
jobs are not a meritocracy. Jobs a lot of times are just who somebody likes, who the boss likes, who this, that, and the other thing. Corporate ladder type shit, all this stuff, it's not merit based. It's not. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's sexism, whether it's whatever, people have managers, bosses have preconceived notions about certain people, and they don't get the promotion because they don't like them for this reason.
Man, I don't like to think that shit's true, dude.
It's why. It is true. It's not that whatever you think. I
have a coworker, right? And like, not to make this a big fucking deal, but like, I have a coworker who's been studying sociology, right? Okay. And so he's been really pushing like the idea of racism and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I'm not gonna go like fucking, but it's just like I like to feel, I'd like to hope, right? Because I grew up in a place where I've idolized people of color my entire life. You know what I mean? Sure. And so to me, to hold somebody back based on just that alone, that's not even in my head, dude. You know what I mean? And so and I told him that's probably my ignorance.
Well,
right?
What woke people would call that is white privilege, right? You have the privilege to think that way, because it has no effect on your life, right?
How that's not white privilege,
It is,
though.
because if you're a person of color, you can't think that way, right? You have to think the other way, because it's like, I'm good at my job, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
What other reason could there be that I'm held back?
Okay, I guess
as a person who doesn't have that affect their life other than to think about it, you have the privilege to not, I don't like to think that way. You have the privilege to not think that way, right?
I guess that's true.
No, I'm not saying I agree with that, but I'm just saying that would be the counter argument to what you're saying. And I feel that way too. I don't want to think that that's how it is.
Right.
But human beings are flawed creatures, right? Whether it's racism, whether it's sexism, whether it's homophobia, whether it's that guy likes the Cowboys and I like the Giants.
Yeah.
Little tiny ticks of information about people
will help influence your decision,
whether you think they do or not. I don't like that guy because that guy said that Saquon Barkley sucks. You know what I mean? But well, that has nothing to do with the job. I'm like, oh yeah, but that doesn't have anything.
Fucking brittle Barkley, dude.
But whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like little stupid things like that. You want to think like, oh, little stuff doesn't have a bearing. This is just about the job, and it's just like, yeah, humans don't have the ability to compartmentalize like that.
Yeah.
Right. One of my best friends, him and his wife work for the same company, right? And his wife has been climbing that corporate ladder. She is like boss bitch, like perfect, like managerial, like everything. But it's taken her so long, right? And she's been passed over so many times and for so many years and been given false hope and false promises to be a job to be given to someone else.
To continue, to hope that she continues pushing and pushing. And
I'd like to think that it has nothing to do with sexism.
Right. But at this point.
But what else would it have to do with it? She is literally 100% the best qualified person for a job. And what other reason would there not be to give her the job? And I'm sure other things come into it. It might not all be sexism. It might be the I don't like her attitude. And it's just like, well, good. You're not her employee.
Right.
You're her boss. So the people under her need to worry about her attitude. Whatever the case may be, it's all human based. So when people say about Shedeur Sanders, just to bring it back to that and the whole nepotism thing, it's like, yeah, if somebody other than Deion Sanders was the coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, Shedeur Sanders would still be slinging the ball for Jackson State.
Right.
But coming out the gate, he's literally had elite quarterback performances in every game they played, win or lose.
So you can't really argue that because it's completely merit-based.
You know what I mean? It's like saying Sidney Crosby's old. It's like saying Alexander Ovechkin's old. Why are they on the first line?
Right.
Because they score goals.
Because he's going to score goals wherever he's at.
Why do like me and Daniel, when I did my shout out a couple weeks ago, was Jaromir Jagr playing again a professional season in the Czech league at 51 years old. Oh, well, he owns the team, but he scores goals. Do you think he would want the team he owns to suck just so he could play at 51?
Right.
No.
Right.
Because the team being good affects his pocketbook. Him being good at this age, yes, it affects his ego, his whatever, but it also affects his pocketbook.
Right.
So if he was not the best player for that position, he's a smart guy.
Right.
He knows hockey.
Right.
He knows puck.
Right. He knows puck, dude.
You know, so it's like nepotism and all this other thing. Yes, they definitely exist, but in sports specifically, it's completely performance.
And you guys kind of touched on it. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but Steven Stamkos, when they were talking about how he was upset that he didn't even get a call, right?
Right.
People were trying to justify that in the comments, saying, you know, like, oh, well, he's old and shit. And it's like, dude, he might not be the highest scorer on your team.
Like, Alexander Ovechkin is going to have a full head of silvery gray hair. And he's going to be scoring goals.
Yeah.
So what the fuck does it matter?
Right.
It's like sports are the only place where it's merit-based.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, I didn't see those comments. Oh, what a bunch of... Yeah.
It was all... Yeah, I don't know if I can find them now, but they were all trashing about how old he was. And, it's to be expected at this point.
Is he still arguably top 3 best players on that team? Yes.
Yeah. For sure.
So what the fuck? You know what I mean? So, that's a perfect example.
Well, when I think of Tampa Bay, I think of Steven Stamkos. I mean, him, Kucherov.
I think of Martin St. Louis, but I'm older than you. So, no, I'm just kidding. But or Vinny Lecavalier. But
you've been working on your accents.
Trying. Hockey's coming back too.
Yeah, you gotta be able to get it.
But anyways, nepotism aside, Shedeur Sanders put up basically, arguably, kind of comparable numbers to Caleb Williams, who won the Heisman, who's probably going to win it again. And good on them. That's college football. We're not going to talk about all the football landscape today because football it doesn't really start for another 30 minutes. So we're not going to make any predictions and look like idiots.
We got to make we got to get a cowbell, dude, so that when we finish the segment, it's just like yeah.
Hold on, let me check an update real quick so I can be up to date on what I'm about to talk about. Do we have a final in this game yet? Yes, we do. Okay. The Toy Story football game, dude. Oh, my God. Those of you who know or don't know, today on Disney, or as you're watching this yesterday, but Sunday morning, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, 9:30 Eastern, the London game between the Jaguars and the Falcons was simulcast on Disney Plus with Toy Story animation live. Like, as the game was going, it was playing. Live animation. It was, and I wanted, just because I love animation, I love technology, I love this shit, I was interested no matter what. And I love football, and it's kind of a cool way to get Andy to sit there and watch. He goes, I like this better because I know when they score a touchdown because there's balloons. NFL, you won.
Put some balloons.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's like people thought the Nickelodeon cast with the slime and all that shit was like a gimmick and blah, blah, blah. It's like, but the kids are watching and they like it, and it's like makes it fun. This was badass. It was live broadcast from the floor of Andy's bedroom. It was pretty insane. Booger McFarland and whoever that white guy that commentates with him is, I can't remember. I never remember his name. They were on there. They were everything was Toy Story characters. Yeah. They had a young girl sideline reporter as a Toy Story character that was reporting the game live. Cool, man. Slinky Dog was the first down marker. They had the claw machine dropping the ball before every play, dropping it at the spot. They had the Planet Pizza truck just randomly would just zoom around the field throwing pizzas.
Are they going to do this consistently?
I hope so. This is the first one.
Yeah.
And it kind of what they did with the Nickelodeon thing. The first year they ever did that, they did like 1 or 2 games, and then now they do it fairly often. So I'm hoping this is a regular thing.
Yeah, it was really cool. I caught a glimpse of it before we came in here, and it was really cool.
1 game a week, like what's that going to hurt? You know what I mean?
I thought Andy was playing like a special football game or something. You know what I mean? And I was like, dang, that's really cool.
The thing with me is that it was live.
Right.
Like the Nickelodeon thing, you're watching the game and they're just putting in graphics of slime. This was full animation that was in real time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like they had the players' names under them, like Madden style, so you knew who had the ball, and you knew they had the trail, the little rocket trail every time a pass was thrown. Duke Kaboom, the Canuck with the luck was the halftime show making jumps. Yeah, it was cool. It was cool, man. And of course, the Jags beat the Falcons. We knew that was going to happen, but it's okay because Bijan Robinson and Drake London scored some points for me. Kyle Pitts, you're getting sit this next week.
You getting sat?
Pitts.
Sits and Pitts.
I don't know. We'll work on that one. That was a Joey joke. But you do it again, NFL. I freaking love this, dude. It was freaking cool. I meant to wake up at 6:30, but I didn't. I woke up at like 7:30 and turned it on, and I'd watch it again. I would like 1 game a week, especially these early for us at least on the West Coast. They're so early, these London games and these out of country games. Like do those ones. You know what I mean? Like what's the problem? You still have the actual game on another channel, but
for sure.
I guess it'll depend on Disney Plus and if they think.
I think that's cool, man. Yeah, I think it's really cool.
But I dug it.
It'd keep someone like me interested. You know what I mean? Who's like,
and especially a game like this one too. Like if it's a shitty game. You know what I mean? Like, why not? It adds some more, something to it. And, anyways, it was cool. What else we got? No UFC this week. UFC break, and I felt it yesterday. I felt it.
Yeah.
So I had to tune in and watch boxing.
I was going to say there was a big fight last night,
I had to watch boxing, for Christ's sake. Canelo fought Jermell Charlo, not to be confused with his twin brother, Jamal Charlo. Who was supposed to have the fight originally, but personal reasons kept him out. So his brother got the fight.
And they went the distance.
It did. It didn't have to. Jermell Charlo just didn't do anything.
I heard he was robbed. Really?
You heard he was robbed?
I heard he was robbed.
A homeless person?
No, a couple people that I talked to said that he was robbed.
Got his ass beat. He got knocked down in the fight. How did he get robbed?
I don't know. I was at a wedding last night, so I didn't watch it.
People who didn't watch the fight, who were at a wedding, so thought he got robbed.
I didn't say that.
Well, did the people that told you that, were they at the wedding?
No, they were not at the wedding.
Okay,
but I was getting like text messages while I was there.
Text them right now and say they're idiots. Canelo, just in jabs, Canelo threw 3 times, landed 3 times as many jabs. And like Canelo was loading up, just bashing him with fucking hard punches. Canelo's the bigger guy, but
he was telling me it was like the equivalent of the Lomachenko rob.
No. You're talking to somebody who doesn't know punch at all. Either they didn't watch the fight or they don't know what the fuck they're looking at, because Jermell Charlo didn't do anything.
Right.
He would throw a jab or something, and then Canelo would come back with a 3-punch combo from hell. He was loading up on everything. And not even like that he was connecting crazy, but they were so hard, and like he was just battering him. It wasn't the most exciting fight in the world, but Canelo got a knockdown, and he like tripled the amount of punches he landed. So I don't know how it's a robbery. Go to tell whoever told you that, go watch the replay and watch Jermell's corner going into the 11th round with the guy just saying, "You're losing the fight. Just go out there and do something."
Oh shit.
Does that sound like a robbery when your coach is telling you that going into the 11th?
Yeah.
God, dog, dude. Canelo dominated like he was supposed to. Much shorter guy, but just the bigger guy. Weight class wise, Charlo was the smaller guy, was coming up, but he's tall, just skinny, lanky. Couldn't, he needed to do what Bivol, the last guy to beat Canelo, did, and just use that length and distance and dance around and use lots of movement. So
what a great picture, dude.
Because that was the whole fight. There was a jab right before that, followed by an immediate hook, and that was the whole fight. Everything.
That was the bread and butter of the whole fight.
The whole fight. And then he would take that little right hand right there and hit that part of the body that he's not blocking right there.
Yeah.
That was the whole fight. 3-punch combos, pop, 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 like real fucking hard, like whether they landed or not. And it just, Canelo being Canelo. Charlo, and again, he wasn't supposed to win the fight, Charlo. He wasn't supposed to look good. He definitely didn't look like either. He definitely didn't get robbed. Maybe his brother will get the next shot since he was supposed to get it this time, and maybe he'll do a little bit better. But Joey's friend's a fucking idiot, a fucking moron. And I hope Opus Clips AI clips this part of the show for me, so I can say again that Joey's friend is an idiot. An absolute moron.
Oh my God.
If he thinks that this fight was anything close to a robbery.
Oh my God.
It was like the exact opposite of a robbery. Your friend is the problem with social media and sports, with people just saying shit that makes no sense.
Sorry. I didn't have anything to challenge him on it, so I will challenge him on it now.
It's
my bad.
Fucking crazy. That's like people saying Paddy Pimblett's gonna beat Tony Ferguson.
He might, dude.
I'm just kidding. Nowhere close to that. That fight's going to be way closer than this fight. This fight was complete domination. All right. Time for our brand new segment.
Oh, is it time?
Joey has become, in the time that he's been gone from us during the strike, he has become
2 months.
He has become a super fan of F1. I have another friend, my buddy Tim, who's a big fan of F1. So I'm not a fan of extreme racing. Let's be careful what we call a sport when we don't call it a sport. We'll call it a extreme activity.
Extreme racing.
It's an extreme activity. I respect it. I understand the technology and the crazy reflexes and just mental everything that goes into racing. Whether this is obviously the most extreme version, but whether it's NASCAR or any of these high level like racing sports. It's incredible what these guys do. I just don't even like driving my own car around town, so I can't.
Yeah.
I've always tried to tune in. I love the documentary shows and shit they make about any sports, and it's even the F1. Like it doesn't matter. It's not that I don't have respect for it. I just personally can't get into it enough to report on it on the show. So that's why Joey's here in Joey's F1 Corner. Woo! We got to get you some like music behind here, like maybe like the Excite Bike music from Nintendo. What do you think, dude? What's give
I like it.
For those of us who just like ball sports or puck sports, give us the rundown. What is it that drew you to it?
So I've always kind of paid attention to motorsports.
Okay.
And for some reason I'm really drawn to like the obscure sports. Okay. You know, and not to say that like NASCAR obviously isn't
hipster.
Yeah. Okay.
No, NASCAR's definitely not obscure.
No,
that's
but
that's why.
Well, for
I'm
like
agreeing with
California, you know what I mean. So it's not something that you would really watch over here, right?
I mean, it's just like the biggest sport in the South, but
that's what I'm saying. Like where we're at over here, it's not really. We don't really touch on that.
I feel like it's not to interrupt you, but like I feel like all sports in California are becoming obscure. Like,
I guess you could say that, yeah.
Because the Knicks brothers always, because we talk about obviously the Texas high school football stuff all the time, and how insane the stadiums are, and how insane the production is,
for
and
sure,
like, all this stuff, and he's just like, oh yeah, it's not that big in California. I'm like, dude, some of these schools play on dirt fields with no lights.
Yeah.
Like, people do not give a fuck about much less high school football.
Right.
But like, we can't even sell out pro sports games in California,
which is crazy when you talk about Formula One, right? Because at the Miami Grand Prix, because that's how they say it, they don't say Grand Prix. At the Grand Prix, last year, it was the first year they did it in Miami, and all 3 days they sold out over 250,000 for each.
Oh yeah,
for each day. And so I mean, it's the biggest motorsport globally. You know what I mean? And
I think probably just like per capita, it might be one of the biggest sports in the world.
Well, what kind of drew me? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, like America, we're like jaded with football, and baseball, and basketball, like our major sports. But when you go global, it's soccer and kind of F1 right now.
And what's funny, dude, is like as I'm starting to deep dive into it, right? What really caught me was the camaraderie between the drivers, because a lot of them are it's based off of 10 teams, right? And they each have 2 drivers per team. They have like backup drivers too, but there's 2 drivers on the track, right? And a lot of them have driven for the other teams before, you know what I mean? So you develop these friendships, and what's crazy is like you have 2 championships that you're racing for, right? You have the Constructors Championship, which is for the team, and then you have the Drivers Championship. So because I think too, like a big thing that's overlooked by a lot of, whether it's casual racing fans or just people like me who don't watch it but are like aware of it, is that especially in F1, the builds, like these vehicles that they're like, the people who are building and maintaining and pitting these vehicles deserve just as much credit as the fucking drivers. Oh yeah, because it is milliseconds of time. Right. It's just the tiniest amount of speed and braking and acceleration and just different things that go into it. So that's the thing I didn't know. I didn't know that there was a constructors championship. That's cool. That's what kind of separates it from Indy racing, right? Because Indies, they have similar cars, right? They look similar to each other, but Indy, everyone drives the same chassis, right? It's kind of like NASCAR, is that everybody has the same looking thing, same looking, and then like they have the same governor on their engine. They have that they can only do. They're all set to these same statistics that they can put into their car. And like Formula has like parameters, so it's like you have a minimum weight, right? Because the car has to stay on the track, right? So like you can't fly. It's like just over 1,000 pounds or something like that they get, and that's like the minimum weight. I know, dude. And so it's just over 1,000. But the engineering is all subjective for each for each individual team. Because you have these parameters, and then certain engineers will think that one certain thing is more important than the other, and it's kind of like you know what I mean? You got if you're going to do more in this area, you got to kind of do less in this area to fit within the parameters. For sure. And then like the weight between you and I, right? Like if you and I were racing, I weigh more than you. We'd be fucked. Yeah, for sure. But like you, I'm going to assume that you weigh less than me, right? We'd have to like literally have a balsa wood car to like for the weight like distribution. Like we would be over the maximum weight. And it'd be because like the whole thing will sag and where you're sitting. Soapbox racer. We'd have to have a soapbox racer to
anyways.
No, it's just I wish I knew, like, because I've just, for some reason, I had this drive ever since I talked to Tim about it. I had like this drive. Ooh, ever since I had this, like, I had this drive to just watch it, and then it really was just the drivers, and then you start learning about the engineering aspects of it and how it's
actually it was Tim that got you kind of.
Yeah, well, I had already been like wanting to watch it, and then I had never met anybody that watched it before, and
Tim's
so when I spoke to Tim about it, I mean, he was like, "Yeah, there's one today, man," and so I didn't get to watch that one that day, but.
It kind of
because they vary in time.
It lit the fire for you to.
Yeah, for sure. It led me to try it.
And see, Tim's an old NASCAR head too, so I think that
I started watching NASCAR too.
Well,
but
I think it's kind of because of the reasons we just said that make F1 a little more exciting.
Yeah.
Is that each team, each vehicle is different. Like you watch NASCAR and your favorite guy, Kevin Harvick, that's Tim's favorite guy. If he, gets his ass whooped. It's like, or it's like going into it. It's just like, well, they're all driving the same exact thing, so it is literally just.
It's just the driver.
And sometimes the conditions, and sometimes everything else. But it's like with F1, there's so many variables. that kind of go.
And they'll tell you. There was just a big clip that went around recently where Ferrari was complaining to Red Bull, and he's like, if you have a fucking problem, change the fucking car.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it might not be your drivers, because arguably these drivers are the highest in their sport, right? And so it's...
and I think with having so many variables, it's kind of, I don't know, would you say it's easier or harder to blame it on one thing?
It's harder.
What I mean?
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say, right? Yeah. Because it's hard to, like, even with you say somebody saying, well, it's not the driver, it's the car. It's like...
Well, take George Russell. I think it was 3 races ago in... it was before Singapore. I think it was Italy that he was in. And he was leading pretty much the whole race. And he ended up in 3rd. He lost 2 places, but he was still faster than his partner. And they actually gave him the DRS to pass his partner. And he like ended up spinning out and fucking just heading straight. But like someone who held it the entire time lost focus for just a second, and it cost him the entire race.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like those milliseconds. And I mean, man,
and they're not just turning left.
No, they're not. It's turning. They turn right.
Yeah, come on.
No, and they're reaching over, I think, over 200 kilometers, which is like 170 miles an hour. Like it's insane.
They're over 100 miles an hour.
They're hitting 5Gs, dude, on turns and stuff. And
it is a way. If you can't even equate it to NASCAR. If you're like thinking like, oh, I don't like NASCAR, I don't like that. It's not the same fucking thing. Like, I, as a plebeian when it comes to this shit, have watched some F1 races and just tuning in for 15 minutes, you can tell it's a completely different world. You know what I mean? So I'm glad you're getting into it.
Thanks, man. I had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun watching it. There's still some stuff that I'm still learning myself.
Sure. That's why I'm not going to hold you to give us the entire rundown of the whole thing right out the gate. But we're going to be doing this Joey's F1 Corner, and just weekly.
I think the big thing,
bring us in a little update.
One of the big things that I can say is that 3 weeks ago, or three races ago, Max Verstappen for Team Red Bull, broke the record at 10 consecutive Grand Prix won.
Hell yeah.
And then for a team, they hit 15.
Max Tom Brady Verstappen.
The Super Max Verstappen, dude. Come on, dude, don't joke about that stuff. That's not funny. No.
We took our nicknames serious.
Yeah, so they hit 15, and everyone was hoping that he would go. Well, not everyone, but Red Bull fans were hoping that he would hit 16 consecutive wins for the team and 11 consecutive wins for the drivers, but he wasn't able to do it. He lost it in Singapore, but this last weekend they raced in Japan, and he is back on top again, like by like a Gappleby, bro. Like over 20 seconds, he was ahead the entire time.
We're gonna have to put up like a vocabulary list.
Gapplebees, bro.
Joey's F1 vocabulary.
Took him
list.
to eat at Gapplebees.
Like I do the graphics for Alexis's picks and Daniel's NHL roster grade.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Joey's F1 vocabulary this week. the words, so everybody knows what we're talking about. The one thing about F1 that I've been seeing a lot on my TikTok feed is they're preparing Las Vegas for the Las Vegas race, and it's all these people. I can't believe they're tearing down these beautiful palm trees for this and been doing that. And I'm just like, shut up, dude. Las Vegas was built to steal people's money.
Yeah,
it's not like it's not Venice that's been there since like the 1700s. Like, no,
those palm trees were imported, motherfucker.
And they were built. They were put there by a casino. It's not like
the mob.
It's not like the founder of Las Vegas came here and these palm trees and this median has been here since. It's just like, shut the fuck up.
Dude,
like, that's why
so
I
cool,
can't believe they're paving over all this beautiful landscape. It's like, yeah, it's landscaping done by a couple illegal guys. You know what I mean? For the fucking mob in 1968. Like, get out of here, dude. They blow up the buildings in Las Vegas when they're done using them. And people are mad about them making it a race course. Like, all it's going to do is make it better.
You know how much the tickets are for that? Like,
I couldn't even imagine.
Over $1,000, bro.
Yeah. Are you going to go?
I would love to. I think I have more of a chance of going to Texas because they have one in Austin.
Maybe if you didn't talk shit about League Swipe, they'd have paid for you to go.
Yeah, the F1 correspondent. Yeah.
I just find that funny because I like it. A lot of the cities are getting in. Like you said, they had the first one in Miami.
They're really trying, man.
They used to have one in Southern California.
They used to do one in Long Beach, but I think in the 80s is when they stopped it.
Okay.
So like we haven't had one in California for a long time, and they're really trying to get the Americas in it. And there's only one American driver, Logan Sargent, who's driving for Williams.
If Taylor Swift has taught us anything, one event can change the economy of an entire city for the year.
Dude, isn't it crazy how Travis is like, how big his career is now that he's dating her?
Those are my favorite, dude.
It's so funny.
Well, you know what the problem with TikTok is like I shared a few of those when like the first day that they became like a big trend, like the day after that game, and it was funny. But then because the social media is what it is, then I couldn't get anything else on my feed other than that. Because, but then the ones that are funny now are people switching it up on husbands with their Swiftie wives that they didn't even dive in enough to watch the game to see her in the press box, so they still really don't know who they're just like, man, don't you think it's cool that Travis Kelce is putting Taylor Swift on the map? Like, so dumb.
Jesus.
But it's cool. Anything to get more eyes on sports, dude, man. You know what I mean? And
extreme sports, extreme motorsports, dude.
Dude, Joey's F1 corner, the debut. How do you feel? Shit. How do you feel about that?
I think it's cool, man. I hope people enjoy it because it's a lot of fun. I think racing itself kind of gets a bad rap, just not
in America because they think of NASCAR.
Yeah, you think of NASCAR and you think
fucking rebel flag wearing drunk guy in an RV
kissing
in the middle
sisters
of it.
And stuff,
whatever, you know.
So, but this is not, dude. And like everything is so high priced. Like they just capped the teams. They can only spend $140 million on their team. You know what I mean?
But if you look at it,
but they were spending upwards of like $400 million.
Yeah, but I'm glad they did that because it's a salary cap, just like in
it had nothing. That was excluding salaries.
No, I just meant like in football or whatever. They have a salary cap. You can only spend this much on your team. So one team isn't. There's teams that are better than others, but one team, it's not fucking baseball and the Yankees fucking paying everybody $100 million. It's like, that's how you make a sport more accessible, right? Because it evens the playing field way more.
Yeah, and it's so funny because, like, the idea of it, right? Like, Ferrari makes a big deal about it because they say that their sales are based off of how well their Formula One team does because that's their marketing.
Right.
Which is insane because,
I could see that because the people... I would imagine across the universe, most of the fans of F1 are probably rich people. Yeah, and only rich people buy Ferraris and Lamborghinis.
I'm a watch guy, right? So they're sponsored by Rolex, Tag Heuer.
There you go.
Richard Mille, like very.
Joey's got expensive taste, which is why he is in on the most expensive sport.
Yes, and which is why I will never see the sport.
And that's why
it costs too much.
Don't never say never. Yeah. This network takes off. You could be our F1. You are our F1 correspondent. You just have to do it all within the confines of the bungalow.
What he needs to do is he needs to activate DRS in order to get over there.
You got to do one of these. Yeah. And we'll just green screen you in, dude, to one of them.
Oh, he passes him on the left side. Oh, into the wall he goes.
We'll talk to Disney Plus and we'll have him animate it like Toy Story.
That would be so sick, dude. Everyone's just driving the little that little RC car.
It's just the RC car. It's the Planet Pizza truck. It's like all the fucking Andy's mom's van. That would be fucking funny.
That'd be awesome.
All right, dude. I think the first Joey's F1 corner was a success.
Yeah, dude. Next, there wasn't a race this weekend. There'll be a race.
That's okay. That's kind of why when I said I was like, okay, when you told me that, I was like, well, they will start the corner because then you can. Alexis will kill me if we don't talk about the culture you were talking about. What did you mean by that?
What did I mean by the culture?
Joey said he's a fan of the culture of F1. What did you mean by that?
What I meant is what I said earlier about the camaraderie between the drivers. You know, because it's a lot of for people who are not only driving
it's not NASCAR where they're trying to punch each other afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, and there's definitely like things that they get mad at with each other, but a lot of the times they keep it super civil. And what I've noticed is like most teams are super on it with each other, and then like you have teams like Mercedes who they will start out as like, oh dude, like at least we won, right? You know what I mean? At least we're both in top 3 to the point where it's like, hey, they'll tell him like, hey, you need to let you need to let Hamilton pass you because you've had 20 laps to pass this guy and you haven't had a chance to do it yet. So we're going to send Hamilton in to do it.
Right, because they're out racing as a team, right?
Exactly. Well, maybe he's building momentum and he's able to do it. And so, but they'll like sit there and argue about it and like kind of like, well, okay, well, fuck it. I guess they're going to support this guy more than me type of deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's also kind of cool because it's kind of like coaching decisions.
Yeah,
This run that you got, like we talk about in the NFL this year, especially, is like running back by committee this year is like many teams don't have that 1-star guy. They got a couple guys and it's just like, well, this guy's got the hot hand right now. So we're going to put him, and then the other guy's on the sideline pissed off. But it's just like, this guy at this moment is doing a better job.
Right.
So it's his turn. You know what I mean? Or whatever. So I dig it.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. It's that's the culture I was referring to.
Okay. All sports have their culture. We just talked about the NASCAR culture is definitely a culture. Yeah. And you got Bill's Mafia already tailgating yesterday. Flying elbows through folding tables. A day before the game starts and shit like that. So every sport has their culture, and I'm glad you're a part of the F1 culture.
Thanks,
and you
buddy.
can bring it to the Bungalow Sports Show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you supporting my endeavors.
And this is the part of the show where we're gonna send it to tomorrow. We're gonna fast forward because we're gonna send it over to me and Daniel breaking down the
NFL or NHL?
NFL.
Oh, okay.
It's we're talking about Monday right now.
Okay.
Tomorrow we'll have the results.
I'm sorry. I thought it was our hockey.
Oh,
guy.
It is too.
Yeah.
It's just Daniel has to do the football with me too because I don't want to do that till Monday, so I can have.
Gotcha.
He'll be in here, so I can talk about football. So we're going.
Maybe I'll just quit so you can guys do it all together.
We're coming back to you. You didn't even let me fucking finish. All right. Here's me and Daniel going over this week's NFL results and breaking down the early rosters of the NHL Metropolitan Division. And here it is. I already recorded the beginning and end of the show with Joey yesterday. So we're just going to jump right into it.
Sure.
Hi, this is the part where Daniel's here. We fast forward into the future.
I'm here now.
24 hours from when you just heard me and Joey. And it's time to go over
Dun, 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 dun.
Week 4 in the NFL. I can't get my serious guy glasses on with the headphones on.
I wonder if Andy Reid ever has to do that. He puts on the headset.
You gotta put them on first. I'm trying to put them on second. Week 4 in the NFL. It started early in London. And I watched it on Disney Plus, the Toy Story animated feed of Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Atlanta Falcons.
Everybody that I've seen online is saying that they liked that and whatnot. Did you watch it?
I did.
Eventually they got it figured out, but for the first quarter there was no football to be watched because the claw didn't drop the football right.
It was a work in progress. It was their first thing, but I said it already earlier in this episode with Joseph. I'll take it because in a game that's Jacksonville versus Atlanta,
you gotta have something to watch.
I need Duke Kaboom during the halftime show. You know what I'm saying? But we talked about that earlier. Jacksonville 23, Atlanta 7. No surprise there. I got a few fantasy points off of Bijan Robinson and Drake London, so that's okay with me. Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens just stomped them. A new booty hole, 28-3. I guess no surprise, but the Browns defense has been so good. I'm a little surprised that it wasn't a little bit closer, but it wasn't. Here's another interesting game. Chicago and Denver, the two worst teams in the NFL, and it was a barn burner, 28-31.
That's one word for what happened.
And it was just, I was pulling for Chicago only because, like, the whole Denver last 2 years of experiment, I just want it to fail. And now Sean Payton's just so mad at every press conference. I just want to see him get madder and like I want to see him assault a reporter at some point.
Well, I hope he doesn't do that.
But they were able to squeak it out against the Bears. And the Bears continue to stink. Here is a big surprise. The Houston Texans absolutely annihilated the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And they didn't even use Tank Dell very much, which was surprising.
And again, the Pittsburgh offense isn't anything to write home about, but their defense, again, one of those teams with a crappy offense but a great defense, and to have Houston score 30 on you, I think C.J. Stroud might be who we thought he was, because he's taken a team that is absolute garbage, and he scored 30 points on probably a top 3, top 4 defense.
Any team that's got T.J. Watt is defense is going to be stout. So
100%. And so keep your eyes on C.J. Stroud. I'm not saying pick him up for your fantasy team. I'm just saying keep your eyes.
I have a big bench on my fantasy roster right now, and I have 4 total quarterbacks. I started Josh Allen. I have just because I want to have them so that nobody else can have them. I have Josh Lawrence, Justin Fields, and C.J. Stroud.
Okay.
So anytime anybody wants to trade me for any of those, it's like, all right, well, all 3 of them had good weeks.
Yeah, so. Exactly. So that Justin Fields looked like freaking. Looked like a world beater.
He looked really good in the first half.
Well, I guess their secret is just tell Chase Claypool to stay at home.
Yeah.
Another surprising game, Philadelphia Eagles squeaked out a victory in a last-second field goal against the Washington Commanders.
No business being that close.
Yeah, the Commanders have shown signs of that they're going in the right direction. But Philadelphia, even though they pulled out the win, it should be a little alarming that it was so close.
It was pretty close for no reason, though.
Minnesota finally pulls out a win against Carolina, 21-13. Minnesota beat Carolina.
Good for Minnesota.
Good for Minnesota. Hopefully it sets them on the right track, because they're a team that should be good and should be keeping a lot of these games they've lost a lot closer. But it is kind of, if you look at the story of last year, they started 11-0, but I want to say like 9 of those games were 1-point victories, or like within under 5-point victories. So
they were frauds.
They were barely squeaking it out, and this year it's kind of the same story. They're just getting the other end of the win-loss. Buffalo smashes Miami 48-20. Daniels quarterback Josh Allen.
Super surprised, though, honestly.
Especially after Miami's performance last week, but
they were playing Denver.
And anytime you score that many points in a game, you're kind of like, well, shit, dude, we're going to do that again next week. It was so easy. How can we not do it next week? Oh, you didn't, Miami. And your O went bye-bye. My Los Angeles Rams squeaked out an overtime victory over the Indianapolis Colts.
That was a really good game.
What a roller coaster of a game. I was setting tile on my front porch, and I had the TV turned to the front window with the window open so I could watch and hear the game.
Like the degenerate you are.
And then exactly. And then I kind of just not lost interest, but it wasn't my main priority because it was 23-0 going into the half, and I'm like, oh, okay, let's focus more on this tile. You know what I'm saying? And then finished doing what I was doing, went in to go cook some cheeseburgers, and looked at the screen, and I saw that it was 23-23 out of nowhere. So the Indianapolis Colts, I won't say the Rams fell apart. I would just say that Anthony Richardson just kind of figured some shit out at halftime and came out and really just, rushed for a touchdown, threw for a touchdown, just real quick, and just kind of brought that comeback. But my boy Puka Nacua won it in overtime. His first 4 games as a pro, he's got like 400 and something yards and a touchdown. I'm scared now because I'm like, God, is he just gonna have one of those like weird first seasons where you're like, oh my god, this guy's gonna be the best receiver ever, and then it's gonna be so good that next year there's no choice but to fall off?
I mean,
I don't know.
I feel like the fall off comes from people that expected to be good.
I think you're right.
And I think Puka is one of those guys that he didn't. Nobody expected.
No, not at all.
I don't even think
nobody expected the Rams to win any games.
Right.
And kind of the first couple weeks was the reason that they were sticking around.
And then
he was their target. Now they got Tutu Atwell, who's supposed to be the star. You know what I mean? And he's showing through. So now they've got options. They've got Matt Stafford. Say what you want about Matt Stafford.
I like him.
He's a goddamn good quarterback. And the Rams are rolling.
Super Bowl winning quarterback, Matt Stafford.
That's what I'm saying, dude. And what else we have? We had Tampa Bay smashing the Saints, 26-9. My man Shaky Bakey just proving everybody wrong, dude. Like it just. Again, we said I don't need to say it anymore. He's a good quarterback.
He is a good quarterback.
Leave the guy alone, and he just happens to be kind of funny too.
I was surprised the Saints actually started Derek Carr.
Me too.
I didn't think that he was. I thought he was going to be out for a little bit.
And especially against Tampa Bay, where it's a divisional game, so you want to win it or whatever. But it's like.
But it's week 4.
It's week 4, and the same shit that I talked about Jameis last week. It's like the guy deserves to be a starter somewhere. So a half-broken Derek Carr or a fresh Jameis Winston in week 4.
Yeah, I mean,
why not give Derek a week off, another week to recover?
I mean, it's not. It's week 4, so it's not like, and the Saints aren't in that bad of a spot. So it's like you kind of think about it, and it's like, why did you rush him back?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Jameis to the Jets.
Jameis to the
Jets. Tennessee smashes Cincinnati. This is like all these teams from last year that were just blowing everybody out of the water are just really feeling it.
We got some red flags for Cincinnati.
Cincinnati is not a good team this year.
And that's surprising to say since they have the highest paid quarterback in NFL history right now.
It's just not happening for him. He's got that little atrophied little calf. Looks like a little toothpick stuck on the bottom of his knee. You got just a lot of upset receivers that are just not getting targets and it's just not happening. It's not clicking for him.
Well, and Burrow can't plant his foot and throw the football. You know what I mean? Like this.
Yeah. So and Tennessee, when you got Derrick Henry on your team, you always got a chance, even if Ryan Tannehill is your quarterback. And Derrick Henry threw for a touchdown yesterday. So
that's right. I forgot about that.
Maybe he should just play quarterback too.
I mean.
And then there's the Raiders.
That was a rough game.
Falling 24-17 to the Chargers, the San Diego Superchargers of Los Angeles.
It was a goddamn home game for the Raiders in Inglewood.
The Raiders, they started Aiden Hill, right?
No, they started, what was his name, O'Connor?
I'm sorry, Aiden O'Connor. Who's Aiden? Aiden Hill's a goalie.
Aiden Hill's a goalie,
yeah. We're talking hockey next.
We are talking hockey next.
They started an Aiden, who he was kind of the Raiders' talk of preseason was how well he was playing. Jimmy G's banged in concussion protocol. We talked about him getting smashed last game. Remember when we talked about that hit where he looked like he was on another planet and then continued the game? Well, it turns out he's got a concussion, and it looks like Aiden O'Connor is going to be starting until he comes back, which
I mean, it could be next week. Who knows?
And it could be mixed results. Where the Raiders are in week 4, what the hell? Jimmy G's not your solution for long term, so we might as well give that guy some snaps.
Josh McDaniels seems to think so. He's not.
Oh yeah, I forgot you got that guy as a coach. Oh
yeah. I try to forget, and then I watch them play, and then I can't forget.
The bench clearing late hit on Justin Herbert.
Well, it was not a good hit.
It wasn't a good hit, but it is what it is. It's football. But the big story was the mechanical hand Justin Herbert had on that broken left finger. He had a broken middle left finger, and he looked like he just had a robot hand. It was taped up and braced up so much. So playing like that's kind of cool.
That is pretty cool.
Dallas stomps out New England 38-3. No surprise there. The return of Zeke. to the Big D. He's just his little sad up on the jumbotron.
Grade Zeke, yeah. Stupid.
Just not a surprise there. This next game really pissed me off. Not that I'm happy when any local team wins, and San Francisco 49ers are the best team in football, basically.
I agree.
And we knew they were going to stomp out the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, I will say this. I had that pegged as San Francisco's going to crush Arizona when the season started.
Right.
And then Arizona kept a lot of games close, and then they beat Dallas last week.
Right.
And
But, Dallas is Dallas.
Oh, Dallas is Dallas. Dallas will find a way to Dallas everything. However, the Cowboys looked unbeatable for a little bit.
Let me tell you why this game pissed me off. It's not that the Niners won. It's not that Arizona lost. It's not anything. It's that Christian McCaffrey had to go out and score 4 goddamn touchdowns when going into that game it was undefeated versus undefeated, number 1 versus number 2 in my main fantasy league, and I was just after the early games, I was just smoking taters, dude, and projected to win by like 40 points.
Mm-hmm.
And halfway through that Niner game, it was tied. Yeah. And then at the end of that Niner game, I was losing. Yeah. And going into the night game, I was already going to lose, but then it was just salt in the wound because the guy I was playing also had Isaiah Pacheco, who tore it up last night, and it just... Somebody's O had to go, and my O went. It was so bad that the guy I was playing, Kyle, one of my best buddies, at the morning, we were both like, oh shit, it's going down. Somebody's O must go. And then a couple hours into the early games, he's like, damn, you're really gaping my O right now, and it was just making all these butthole jokes. And he had already accepted defeat. That's how bad I was whooping his ass from the beginning of the day. And then Christian McCaffrey. Son of a bitch!
I was
it's only week 4.
Monday still is yet to be played, obviously, but all of my players have played so far. I am a 99% chance of winning, and I believe I'm 80 points up on Patrick Finley.
Okay.
So
I think you're okay.
I think I'm all right.
Oh, and then the late game last night, we had another Taylor Swift sighting. Kansas City versus the New York Jets in MetLife. Kansas City, they won like they supposed to. But good God, if the last 2 games are the only games Taylor Swift has ever watched, she might think Zach Wilson is the best quarterback of all time. Because at the first 3 quarters of that game, he was outplaying Patrick Mahomes until he fumbled the ball and basically gave it away. Yeah. But the Jets... They scored a safety, a touchdown, and a field goal. They were just playing like they were a good team for 5/8 of that game. And then in the fourth quarter, Patrick Mahomes does what Patrick Mahomes do, and screwed everybody on the it was -8. Was the betting line on that, and he slid to just ice the game rather than score at the very end. He could have just walked right in, but he iced it because he wasn't going to give him the ball back and give him a chance because, weirder things have happened. So he made the smart play just to win the game. They were up by 3, but my TikTok feed was just full of people head in hand. Just so many people hate Patrick Mahomes today because they lost a lot of money because Kansas City -8 against the Jets is like a no-brainer. Yeah. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, and
you hammer the over.
And I like the NFL scripters, the NFL rigor people have come out saying this is scripted, and it's like, what do they care if people win or lose money? They don't. Why is that part of the script? I don't know, but
the money doesn't go to the NFL.
Yeah, I don't get that.
It goes to the betting sites, right? It's like, it goes to Betalytics. It goes to Underdog. Right. It goes to DraftKings. It doesn't go to the NFL. They don't give a shit.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I those people who think it's scripted, it's kind of bizarre. It's like, this is people's job. It's their like career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I get it. It's sports. It's entertainment. It is what it is. But it's like at the end, like I love it. There's a podcast called Macro Dosing with the guy from Pardon My Take, PFT, and he co-hosts that with Arian Foster, former great NFL running back, who was oft injured, right? In record-breaking seasons, he was injured at inopportune times and things like that. That just a great career that he had could have been much better if it wasn't for injuries at bad parts of the season or bad timing. So there was over the summer there was a clip from their podcast that went viral where he was talking about the day that they gave him a script for that game where he blew his knee out. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and it like went, people ran with it as if he was like being serious. You know what I mean? Because they were obviously doing it like they were doing it straight face, just purposely, make the internet upset. But it was like the amount of people who thought he was like was serious, and then it's just like, dude, are you like, how can you? The guy's knee was torn. Like, I don't know, but maybe they think that that's fake. I don't know. I'm down with a lot of conspiracy theories in life, but the ones that are directed towards the scripting of the NFL is just crazy. Because if that happened, a lot of the upsets that we had today wouldn't have happened.
Well, I like that. I really like that commercial the NFL put out this year, which was the script writers with Key and Peele.
Oh yeah. So that commercial was directly taken from that podcast.
Yeah.
That's where they got the idea from it, and it's just great. But
I thought this was the dress rehearsal. Ooh,
it's all tongue in cheek, and like even results like you don't think they want Joe Burrow to win?
Oh, they absolutely want Joe.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, so why would they let him get beat so bad all the time this year? Anyways. That's football. Tonight we got the Giants, or the Seahawks at the Giants on that lovely MetLife field again. Let's hope you can bet for a scripted knee injury tonight.
More than likely, yeah.
Or a blown Achilles or something else.
And I think I'll give you 5-1 odds that it's Darren Waller.
Oh my gosh, that of all. If the Giants don't have any bad karma coming towards them, that would be the next piece of bad karma that will come towards them. All right, let's move on to hockey. We're breaking down the rosters of the Metro division. We did Atlantic last week.
That's
People
right.
liked your grades. I got a lot of good comments and stuff on your grades and
Thanks, y'all.
the little graphic we made. We had our resident angry Red Wings fan, Kana, my goaltender, was a little irked at your C- for the Red Wings. But hey, they get what they deserve.
Absolutely.
We give them credit for the DeBrincat trade, but also, or the DeBrincat signing. Yeah.
It was a trade.
It was a trade. Yeah. And, but also flawed because of the money amount they gave him. We talked about that. We don't need to talk about it again, but hey, these direct all comments towards the man over there,
and I'm okay with it because she did. She said, she's like, "Oh, I hate the grade you gave my Wings," and I'm like, "Wait till you see what I do to the Ducks."
Hey, if we're nothing else, we are fair here at the Bungalow Chat Show. All right, let's kick this thing off with the Carolina Hurricanes, and I want to put a little caveat there. Daniel has a car full of jerseys right now, and we spent a lot of time. He spent a lot of time changing wardrobes last week. It took me a lot of time editing the dead air in between, so it looked really cool every time we switched a new graphic and talked about a new team. He had their jersey on, but none of you gave a shit. So this week,
I left him in the car.
They're in the damn car. All right. So I'll go over I'll pick out some highlights on their roster. There's quite a few. You're talking about a team who went deep last year.
It's a good team.
We got Sebastian Aho, Jesper Fast, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Blake Murray. We got Jordan Stahl, obviously, Ryan Suzuki, Brett Burns, Jalen Shotfield.
Don't forget about Jacob Slavin.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to. His name starts with an S, so it's an alphabetical
down
order. Yeah, Jacob Slavin, obviously Frederick Anderson, Antti Ranta, but Frederick Anderson in there too. Between the pipes. The only downfall of this team, and if you'd asked me a year ago, I would have said it was a good thing because I was all about Rod the Bod. But after his bitch-made comments and responses to the media after they lost and got swept, but according to him, they didn't get swept because they could have went either way. It's like, yeah, but you got swept. Now you're a punk-ass bitch, Rod Brindamore. I don't care how fucking sick your pecs look. I don't care how tight your abs are. You're a punk, dude. You got swept. That's the thing about hockey. I won't go on my tirade again, but of the tirade I went on, the thing that makes hockey great is that it's all about accountability.
Yeah, that's true.
Doesn't matter how good, if you're the star of the team or you're a fourth line banger. It's all about accountability and being responsible for your performance. And as a coach, your performance was getting swept, so you don't go in the media and say, we didn't get swept.
Yeah.
Any of those games could have gone either way. Any game could go either way. Yeah, what the fuck are we talking about?
Any of those games could have gone either way. They didn't.
They didn't. You got swept. Right? And if they could have gone either way, you'd think at least one of them would have, and you wouldn't have gotten swept.
It's like it's honestly the same kind of argument when somebody says, like, oh, he got 4 goals, so he didn't get a hat trick. It's not he got a hat trick plus one more. It's like, yeah, but it's not a hat trick. It's like, okay, then what do you call it? It's a hat trick plus one. Are you trying to say it's
not as good as a hat trick? Because it's actually better. They just don't have a name for it. Anyways, what are your thoughts on this year's Carolina Hurricanes? Same look team as we had last year.
It's a bit of a same look team. The team looks still very good. Sperry Kotkaniemi, good center option there. Sebastian Aho, the good Sebastian Aho. We like him a lot. Martin Necas. They picked up Michael Bunting from Toronto. One thing with Michael Bunting is he's a physical, strong winger. He can play top line minutes. He can play bottom line minutes. He's really, really good option for everything there. One thing that we tend to notice a little bit about him since he played in Toronto last year, because everybody watches Toronto games. He eventually got to the point where officials aren't really giving him any kind of leeway for anything, and really aren't giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
So if he does anything even remotely close to a penalty, anything questionable, he's getting the gate for it.
Right. There's a handful of guys in the league that can just kind of breathe on somebody weird, and they're getting.
And I think Kadri is one of them. Bunting is another one of them. And then there are some guys that they can literally get away with murder and be completely fine, like Brad Marchand, who's now a captain of the Bruins. And it's he's good as long as he can kind of stay out of the box, but then that's also kind of his game, is that he plays that hard-nosed style,
and that's the thing, is like there is a line of diminishing returns when it comes to playing like that, obviously, because you don't want your team to be shorthanded all the time,
right?
But then how much do you pull it back to where it starts affecting your effectiveness?
Yeah, which is why I think Toronto let him go, and Toronto didn't have the cap for him. They didn't really want to make the cap for him,
right?
And then I say all that mainly to say this: they gave him a 3-year contract for $4.5 per.
Okay,
it's a lot of money to lock up on a guy who's probably going to lead your team in PIMS.
Right.
I'm just maybe that's just me, but he's, like I said, great player. You can plug him anywhere in on the lineup, and he's going to be effective for you. Jordan Staal, getting a little bit older, but he's 35. He's our age, but
ancient.
I know, right? Well,
I'm 38, Daniel. All right.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Okay. I'm your elder.
You are my elder. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're my sister's age. Yeah. Son of a bitch. I had my 20-year high school reunion on Saturday. I didn't go, but it was on Saturday. Saw some pictures from it.
Saw some pictures.
I gotta say, your boy looking pretty handsome compared to some of the old fellas I don't comment on females' looks. It's not my style. But
No,
I got no problem calling some dudes some real dogs out there. And your boy's looking pretty handsome at the old 3.8. So
not a kid.
We won't talk about that.
Way to be. Mm-hmm. They got some good players here on offense. We saw essentially what this team was last year. They didn't really do a whole lot to start, basically shore up anything.
And technically, I mean, other than the trouncing they took in that sweep, they really didn't need to. If they can put together the same...
No, the team was very, very good.
Right,
and they won the division last year.
As long as they just don't let that just weak-minded Rod Brindamore just get into their psyche.
Man, if you ever tell Rod Brindamore that to his face, I'd love to see what happens next. A couple other guys that I like to...
He'll almost win a fight against me. That's what'll happen. It could have been able to go either way.
Almost, huh?
Yeah.
It'll go either way.
At the post-fight press conference, he'll be saying, I almost won that. I could have gone either way.
A couple of guys I want to talk about a little bit. Brendan Lemieux.
Yeah.
Good banging body out there. Like to see tough wingers out there, and they definitely have one in him. Stefan Nason, like him a lot. They've got as we said, Jacob Slavin, Brent Burns, Brady Skijay, Brent Pesce. Good solid defense. And then they've got 3 goalies that they can kind of come in and out with,
that's the big
at
thing.
Any time. Like Frederick Anderson. You ever seen Frederick? I stood next to Frederick Anderson one time. I looked like a child.
Oh, he's so big.
The man is massive,
and he's a good goalie.
He's great.
And then on a team when you have Antti Ranta and Frederick Anderson,
and Pyotr Kochetkov. Don't forget about him.
Of course, but just those 2 guys is enough, and then you got a third guy in there who can hold his own.
Yeah.
They don't have any problems.
No,
in
they have no problems
situation.
in goaltending. They really don't have any problems in forward. And the only thing that I would say that I'm not a big fan of is they went out this offseason and they had to make sure they went and got somebody to come back to their team that they didn't have last year, and they wanted to get him back. It was Anthony DeAngelo.
Yeah.
I have a very big issue with Anthony DeAngelo, and I think that it's just that he is a absolute cancer.
Okay.
There's a thing in the hockey community, and really in all sports, but when you're a good player, your teams and players around you will put up with you being a complete shithead.
Right.
And that is Anthony DeAngelo to a T. Mm-hmm. He is just an asshole, but
good enough to be an asshole.
But good enough so that people don't
just putting
mind
everybody else in a bad mood.
Yeah, and it's just but to me, it's just why do that?
Yeah.
Why be that way? I mean, he's gotten in a fight in every locker room he's been in.
It blows my mind when there's stories like that of professional athletes who are that big of assholes to their own teammates. Yeah. And it's just you realize you get your own individual contract and how you perform, but it's also at the end of your career, it's also they're going to be looking at this type of stuff.
That's your legacy, man.
Right, exactly. That's more than statistical. That is oh yeah, it's you don't want to be one of these guys who, oh yeah, that guy's great on paper, but what a cock. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But then you get guys that are complete opposite side of the spectrum where they're super, super good and also the nicest people you've ever met.
Right.
Like Timo Solani. I love Timo Solani. Wayne Gretzky, career great guy. Mike Modano. All these guys are just wonderful, wonderful people.
Well, there's no reason not to be. You're getting to live your dream, dude.
You don't have to be a dick.
That's my thing.
You're playing hockey for a living. Be happy. Exactly. Smile.
You got no reason to be an asshole. But that shows you that asshole is it's part of you. Yeah. And no matter who you are, what you get to do, how good your life is, some people just can't shake it.
Sadly enough.
What grade do the Carolina Hurricanes get on these 2 early roster grades?
Yeah, Carolina Hurricanes are still a very, very good team, even with the addition of a team cancer. He probably won't see top 6 minutes or top 4 minutes. He'll probably see 6 minutes. Not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. You can look anywhere on their roster, and they're completely solid.
Weak ass coach though.
I'm
gonna tag him.
You're still not wrong.
I'm gonna tag him in this clip. See if he responds. All right.
I hope he does. I give him an A.
Okay.
They're a great team. I see them making playoffs.
Deserved.
I see them also challenging. And I say challenging for the division this year.
I think that's
I think a lot of people are calling for them to 100% win the division. I say challenging, and I'll get to that when we get to the team that I think they're going to be challenging with.
Next.
It's not this team.
Definitely not this team. The Columbus Blue Jackets. Obviously, they drafted the man that Daniel wanted.
They
to draft
did.
In Adam Fantilli. They've, they got Chinnikov on here. They've got Johnny Gaudreau, Johnny Hockey, Boone, our man Boone Jenner. Patrick Lane, Malatesta. I mean, they've got some Jack Roslovic.
Who didn't play much of last season because of injury. So.
Right. Let's see. What do we got on the D line here?
Keep looking. He'll be looking for a minute.
Let me see something. I mean, just nothing to write home about on the D line. Jake Bean.
Yeah, Jake Bean.
And then also nothing to write home about between the pipes either.
No.
Who's going to be their starter?
It'll probably be Merzlikis.
Yeah, it's going to be Merzlikis, and his name's Elvis, so we gotta I'd give him the start just because his name is Elvis. Obviously, we've talked about the tumultuous off season for the Blue Jackets with the old red face man. What makes the red man red? That's not a racist comment. We're talking about a dickhead coach, not Native Americans.
No.
Not looking good for Columbus this year. I think it's a year of how can we make Adam Fantilli be successful and not ruin his confidence in his first season. I think that's what this is can we put together a mediocre season and kind of get his career started off on the right foot?
So with the Blue Jackets, I think it's almost impossible to talk about their season without talking about the debacle that was Mike Babcock.
Good Lord. How can you not?
I mean, it's just awful. Like how, I don't know what they were thinking.
Even if none of the drama happened, it was the minute they signed him, I was just like, why?
Exactly.
Like, why, I mean, we talked about it ad nauseum.
For what reason was there to do this?
There's not to say it's an age thing or anything like that, but it's also like in 2023, pulling Mike Babcock off the bench when there's plenty of assistant coaches out there that deserve a shot. Bruce, there's plenty of other.
Bruce, there it is. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's just there's guys out there who are seasoned coaches that were available, and then also a bunch of young guys that could have been good to start out with. I mean, you never know, but
for what it's worth, I think that they ended up getting the right guy now. Who was the guy that's there that had been there the entire time? He'd been the assistant coach for a very, very long time. And now he finally gets a chance to run the actual bench himself. I think that was the right move all along. I don't know why it took you that long. But I'm glad that now they seem to have the right guy behind the bench. Let's see what happens with that.
Right. It's kind of this is just a like you said, like a what's going to happen season for the Blue Jackets. It's kind of a season that's going to dictate the rest couple years. And then next season, we see what kind of moves they make to kind of bolster whatever comes out of this season.
And for what it's worth, you look at their top line, you've got Johnny Hockey, great. Patrick Laine, great. Even Jack Roslovic or Boone Jenner, also very, very good. Adam Fantilli, rookie, we still don't really know how he's gonna be, but from what it looks like in the preseason, man, he is what we thought he was.
He's gonna hold his own for sure.
He's a strong, big body with a lot of speed and a great shot. You know, it's a great. He would have been a great Anaheim Duck, but I keep going back to it.
That is the one plus of the Blue Jackets this year is that Adam Fantilli would have been a great Duck.
I'm gonna keep coming back to it.
You would have taken him. You would have. You just settled for that?
So after a while, and I think we talked about this a little bit there last time I was here, there was with Fantilli, he is what we think he is. He's a good player. He's a smart, strong hockey player. And the Ducks had the chance to get him at 2. And they didn't. They went with Leo Carlsson. And after watching Leo Carlsson, I really, really like Leo Carlsson.
Good player. Man.
He's been and he's been playing against men in Sweden for a long, long time, and he's a very strong, smart hockey player. Mm-hmm. You gotta love him. However, the intangibles alone with Fantilli, the reason that I wanted him so badly is because he's one of 2 freshmen to ever win the Hobey Baker Award, which is basically the Heisman college hockey. Right. Yeah. And the only other player to do that was Paul Kariya, who is one of the most famous Ducks of all time, the guy that I named my daughter after.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's like there's reason for why I wanted him. I found out there might be character issues with the guy. That's probably why Anaheim didn't take him. You know, they probably, and Pat Verbeek,
I will say,
he's
being a real. See, me, I love the intangibles. I love the backstory. I love all that stuff when it comes to things that really don't matter. But the thing is Adam Fantilli kind of looks like a dick.
A little bit.
You know?
Yeah.
I like that a lot. When I watch the draft,
if you look at the interviews that he does, it's kind of like, oh, that's why Pat didn't like him.
And it's like some guys, like, and I'm not saying this just because, like, I'm a Sharks guy or whatever, but like Will Smith, even Leo Carlsson, they kind of look like sweet guy. They kind of look like that guy's probably a nice guy. Yeah. Adam Fantilli just looks like a dick.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to have a little bit of snarl to play in this league. So I mean, maybe he's going to do really, really well.
Hook him up with D'Angelo, dude. I'm sure it'll be great.
Fuck, right, Jesus. The top 2 lines forwards, at least for Columbus, don't look too bad. Bottom 4 lines don't look great. It's kind of same thing we've been talking about with a lot of other teams. Their defense really is the glaring issue here.
Almost non-existent.
So they've got Zach Werenski, who was broken most of last year, so that helps getting him back.
Right.
They've got Damon Severson, who is a good middle of the road defenseman, but not the way that they're going to be playing him, because they're not going to play him as a middle of the road defenseman. They're going to probably use him as Werenski's number 2, which is going to be tough.
With the rest of that defensive roster, you kind of don't have a choice.
Yeah. Ivan Provorov, who had a pretty decent rookie season. He's not, I don't think he's going to be the guy. Andrew Peak, still there's just nothing jumping off the page at me. Even Nick Blankenberg, who is a great rookie, he's not the guy. He's not going to be your number 2, and you need a number 2, and I don't think they have that.
No, not even close.
Their defense is a problem, is a real problem. Are they going to be able to combat that, and these guys maybe take a step up? I think a lot of these guys have a high ceiling, but I think their floor is just as low.
Yeah, it's all or nothing. Either they're going to be good or they're going to be garbage. Yeah. And I think we're going to find out real quick, especially
very, very quick. And then goaltending, Merzlikins is really all you have, and he's been spotty to say the least. Spencer Martin, Daniil Tarasov, really the only backups they have. They're counting on Merzlikins to play 70 games this year, and that's going to be tough on him. Plus he's also had durability issues. I don't see the back end being very good.
No, I do. Needing a goaltender, like not just wanting, but needing a goaltender, one goaltender to play that many games, and then having that defensive lineup that they have is just not a good start.
No.
What do the Blue Jackets get? What's their grade?
Blue Jackets, I'm trying to not give them a crap grade just because of the Babcock thing. They honestly, with Babcock behind the bench, they should have gotten F, D-. The team would have been absolutely pathetic. Now that he's not behind the bench, it's gonna be a little bit better, but that back end, that goaltending, it's all problematic. It's all trouble. I would say giving them a D+, C- at the best. But this team also doesn't make playoffs. It's unfortunate, but it's not in the cards for them this year. But a couple more drafts, couple more times through the ringer, they're gonna get there.
Yeah, but this year, D+, you guys need to get a tutor, okay?
Yeah,
You're never
yeah.
going to make honor roll like that. All right, moving on to the New Jersey Devils. Who do I like on here? Well, we got Jesper Bratt.
There's a lot to like about this team.
A lot. We got Eric Howla. We got Jack Hughes. We got Michael McLeod. We got Timo Meier. We got Thomas Nosek. We got Andre Palat. Tyler Toffoli. Chris Tierney. Good Lord, dude.
Good Lord is right.
We got Luke Hughes on the back end. We got Brendan Smith. We got it keeps going, dude.
Just keep going. You line them up, and it's a good roster.
And then they've got like 100 goalies to choose from. They're just another team. Like, they should have been it last year. Obviously, they had a great year, but I see it being even better this year. What do you think?
I agree. I 100% agree. And this is what I alluded to earlier. This team is the one that I think is going to challenge Carolina for that.
I think
for that
so.
Top. And do I think they win it? Actually, kind of, yeah. But, if they come in second place to Carolina, I'm not going to be surprised by that. A lot of people are, like I said, are picking Carolina to win it. This team is the only team in this division that I think is going to have that chance to actually overshadow them and play better. Man, just look at this freaking roster.
They're stacked.
Timo Meier, Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, Andre Palat, Tyler Toffoli, Eric Holla. Jesus, man, you go down this roster, just like you go on Cap Friendly and just look at this roster. There's nothing on here that looks bad.
That you don't like.
There's nothing on
There's
here.
no like spot where you're like, oh, they got that guy. Like, no, it's like
even the contracts. Like, look at this. Timo Meier is making 8.8. Okay, but that's what he's worth.
Should be making. Yeah.
Jack Hughes makes 8. Jack Hughes makes 8. Okay,
up against Timo Meier's 8.8. It's crazy. Yeah.
Jesper Bratt 7.875. Okay, Nico Hischier 7.25. Like, are you kidding? Like,
they're cruising.
This team is just loaded, and everybody's on loaded team-friendly deals.
They're going to be loaded for a while because of those deals. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, they're not going anywhere.
No, God, no.
And I obviously, because I have to just go off of the success of people who have left the Sharks, because the Sharks never succeed. But loves Timo Meier being the guy that he's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. Chris Tierney being the guy that he's supposed to be. Like, it's just... Dude, like, see, I'm used to seeing like guys like your beloved Teemu Solani coming to the Sharks and like having the worst season of his Hall of Fame career. You know what I mean? And I love seeing guys even if
I don't know. He played in Colorado and that wasn't.
This is true, but I love seeing these guys not getting out of San Jose before they hit their prime, and now they're both going to have a better prime.
Yep.
Because they got out early enough.
Yep. And he's on and Timo Meier is on a team that is just
it's like it's player friendly, and it's not like they all complement each other.
And it isn't that he's the guy that has to be the guy, because he's got Hughes.
No, he doesn't have to.
He's got Brett. He's got Quinn. Mm-hmm. Like there's just no reason that this lineup can't be amazing.
When I say I get happy for guys in that position at that age, like when they get out of San Jose, it's like San Jose tends to get these young guys. Like Thomas Hertl is a perfect example where he had to be the guy right out the gate.
Yep.
He had to.
Yep.
Because if he wasn't, then they were fucked.
And that hurt him. And that hurt him. That hurt his development. And now it was tough.
He's not done, but it's just like he's not even the highlight of that fucking team.
No.
You know what I mean? Of a bad team. And it's like the Timo Meier, I'm happy for him in that New Jersey Devils team. If I have to pick a team other than the Sharks that I root for, I've always rooted for the Devils. I think it's mostly because people hated that lockdown fucking defense that they played and how it ruined the game.
They invented the trap and it ruined hockey.
They ruined hockey, but you know what I mean. It's what I like to say about like right now the big thing in the NFL is the tush push. Everybody hates it. And then like in MMA, it's like great grapplers. And it's like, oh, dude, lay on top of him. My thing is like, stop him. Get him off. Like George St. Pierre, one of the greatest fighters of all time. People's biggest gripe with him is that he had boring fights. And it's just like, well, he just grappled people and they couldn't do anything. It's like, yeah, that's the point.
Yeah. Keep him at arm's distance then.
Or, yeah. Like, stop it. Like, it might be boring, but stop it. And if you can't stop it, they win.
Exactly.
Like, and the whole point of this thing is winning, figuring out a way to beat the other team. And New Jersey, I just always like those stories. And like with the tush push and all that stuff, it's just like, stop it. Just because they have a quarterback who can squat 10,000 pounds and they have the best offensive line in the world, like even if they didn't get behind him and push him, they'd still be 92% on QB sneaks, even without the push. Now they're just 97% or whatever. Like, so the New Jersey Devils have always been a team that I've rooted for, and now they're very, very good.
And we haven't even touched on goaltending. Vitek Vanacek and
Vanacek,
Schmid, man.
Like,
both of those guys are starting caliber goalies, and you got both of them. And I think what New Jersey is going to do this year, I don't 100% quote me on this one, but I think what they're doing is they're going to roll Vanacek out there for most of the starts, most of the games this season, and Schmid will be the intrepid backup.
Right.
Schmid being 23 years old makes sense.
23 and still pretty damn good for a backup position.
And he's on his last year of his ELC. So if New Jersey is smart, which I think we've alluded to, they're very smart. They'll put him in the backup role this year because that way his value doesn't skyrocket if he was a tandem with Vanacek.
Right.
That way they can keep him on another team friendly deal, get him under their cap, and then
that's what I'm saying. Like, just looking at the roster and looking at the contracts that they have some of these names under, and the length and the price, they're not going away for years. So it's a scary prospect if you're not a Devils fan, or if you have a team that's in the hunt over the next few years, because even if they win it, even if they don't win it this season, they're going to be back next year. They're going to be like, they're
be back the year after.
They're going to be in the hunt for at least 3 or 4 years coming up.
And what I'd like to put out there too is that for their cap situation is great. Their cap is amazing. Timo Meier is 10% of their cap. He makes 8.8.
Yeah.
When a guy makes that much percent of your cap and he only makes 8.8, that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it's pretty tight.
Right? Vitek Vanacek makes 4.1% of their cap. He only makes $3.4 million. It's amazing what they've done with this money.
Yeah, it's very they're doing good. But most importantly, what is their grade, Daniel?
A, baby. They are an A team.
No doubt about it.
With maybe some upside to it. I mean, they could probably grow a little bit and get all the way up to an A+ by the end of the year, but the team is so good, so well built.
Right.
And I mean, barring anything crazy, this team is gonna be in the running for the division lead, and they are gonna
anything but a conference championship appearance is a failure.
They are going to be dangerous,
right?
But they got to get through Carolina. So let's see what happens.
Moving across the water to the New York Long Islanders. Just another team that, I mean, obviously their roster is getting older, but we're in a similar position, I guess, kind of to the Devils a few years ago with the names they had and things like that, just looking like they should have been world beaters, but just never get over to the hump. Matthew Barzal, Casey Cizikas, Cal Clutterbuck. What do we got? We got Bo Horvat, Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, Oliver Wahlstrom. We got the other Sebastian Aho.
The other Aho, yeah.
The other Aho.
So there's a guy in our fantasy league, Aaron Sanchez. His fantasy team name is Bros Before Ahos.
I love it.
It's kind of amazing.
Noah Dobson, blah, 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 Adam Pellick, Alexander Romanov, Robin Salo, and Ilya Sorokin, obviously going to be starting behind in the pipes again.
Goalie.
I didn't realize they had Varlamov.
Yep, still have Varlamov. Yep.
I mean, a lot of recognizable names, but a lot of recognizable names that have been there for many years now.
And a lot of recognizable names who have recognizably not been there the last few years. Not been what they should
have been. Exactly.
They got Barzal, great player. Bo Horvat, great player. Now he's out of Vancouver, so he's an even better player. Anders Lee, also good player. I still don't know why they named him captain.
That's an odd choice. Yeah.
$7 million a year for this guy. I don't think he's a $7 million a year player.
Coming off of talking about the Devils and their contract, that does not seem like a good.
My favorite player, I think, on this team is Brock Nelson.
I like Brock Nelson,
and I think he's at a team friendly deal of $6 million.
Solid name too.
Yeah, and he's with the exception of Barzal and Horvat, he is undoubtedly the number one center on this team. In all fairness, he should be the number one center on this team. He wins faceoffs. He's a really strong power forward type player. Big body. You can put him in front of the net, and you can have Barzal and Horvat just shoot at him. But like I said, great player. And then other than that, I mean, John Gabriel Pajot.
It's like more of the same, other than Bo Horvat coming through. Like, it's just more of the same.
Kyle Palmieri, who should be much better, and he's only 32, but
he seems like one of those, when you say his name, you're like, damn, that guy's old, and you're like, oh no, he's not.
But I think that's the thing, is he's playing old, so he's either hurt and has been hurt for a really long time and never figured it out, or he just lost it, man.
Yeah.
Like, I refuse to believe that NHL players forget how to play hockey. Yeah. However, Kyle Palmieri is not as effective as he used to be. The game gets
fast. The more they take the physical side out of the game, it just gets faster and faster. So I think you're going to start seeing.
And Palmieri is an undersized forward who, he's got to be quick, and I think he's lost his step.
The first thing that goes is your quickness, and the game is just getting faster every year. You know what I mean? So
I love Kyle Palmieri. Yeah, he was a Duck for the longest time, and I love the guy. He's a great dude, but. Man, I don't think he's that number one, number two winger anymore. I just don't think it's there. Big question mark, I think, is they went and got Pierre Engvall last year at the trade deadline, I think. Pierre Engvall is making $3 million for the next 6 years. He's not that guy. He's not that guy. I like watching the Steve Dangle podcast, and Pierre Engvall was a Leaf for a really long time, and they talk about the Leafs all the time because they're Toronto-based podcast and everything like that. Pierre Engvall was constantly described as big for nothing.
Well,
I think he's something like 6'6" or 6 foot something like that. He's a huge kid,
right?
Giant neck.
Yeah,
absolutely huge. He doesn't throw hits. He doesn't play physical. He's big for nothing.
I like that. That's a perfect. That's a category of hockey player.
And it's just like, if you're gonna be big for nothing, you have to at least score.
Right.
But he doesn't score enough to be big.
You're so big, you can't be fast.
Yeah.
And then if you don't hit, and then you don't score, what are you gonna do?
He can't put all of it behind his shot. He doesn't have the best shot. It might be accurate, but he doesn't have the best shot.
Right.
But I mean, just there's guys like that everywhere where they just have their warts. Like Cal Clutterbuck, not fast anymore, but he fights. And it's like, okay, but
dude,
he fights.
That might be your first contribution to the Bungalow or the Peak One Sports merch store. We're gonna make a big for nothing. I like that. I didn't even.
So you gotta do it Michael Scott status, where it's like big for nothing. Steve Dangle, Daniel Costa, Steve Dangle. But I mean, man, look just up and down this roster. There's Matt Martin is still making money on this team. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like Carson Kuhlman should not be playing in the NHL. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be playing in the NHL. Their defense is Ryan Pollock, Adam Pellick, Noah Dobson, Scott Mayfield. The team's got nobody on the back end.
It's just guys that were good 3 or 4 years ago.
But they were good 3 or 4 years ago, but they were also guys that's like, yeah, in a couple of years they're going to be good.
And now it's a couple years later.
But it's a couple years later and they haven't grown, and it's like,
same
oh
guys,
no.
yeah, same team, same guys. I don't see this ending a lot differently for the Islanders.
Only thing that saves their defense is their goaltending.
Right.
Ilya Sorokin, great goalie. Even Semyon Varlamov, 35, still is ancient, especially for a goalie. But
having Varlamov as a backup,
having him as your backup option is freaking great, dude.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, other than that, this team is trouble.
So what do they got? What's their grade?
It's not pretty, man. It's a C-.
C-. Hey, they're passing at least.
Are they?
Well, I mean, that's technically a passing grade, dude.
I suppose.
All right, moving on to that other New York team. Another disappointment of a team. It just seems the New York Rangers. Again, a lot of familiar names for New York.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got Barclay Goodrow.
That they do.
He was a Shark once.
And he's wearing an A this year,
which is kind of weird, kind of cool.
Pretty strange.
Carl Hendrickson's, Capo Caco, Chris Kreider, Alex Lafreniere, Riley Nash, Artemi Panarin, Adam Sikora, Blake Wheeler, Mike Zibanejad. In the back, we got, Adam Fox. We got, who else do I give a crap about back here?
Not a whole lot.
Jacob Trouba, I guess. Yeah, not a lot of shining on the D line.
No.
And then, of course, we've got Igor Shesterkin between the pipes. They've got Jonathan Quick as an option.
Jonathan Quick is their backup, yeah.
What do you think about the New York Rangers?
Sadly, it's about the same as the Islanders. They're gonna be a good team because of their top line and their talent there.
But isn't it interesting that both the New York teams kind of have the same story right now in the last half decade of like putting together a roster that should win you something, and they just
yeah, exactly. The team should be much better than it is. It's the same with the Islanders. They should be much better than they are. Looking up and down their roster, it's like, yeah, there's no reason that this team should be bad. But then you look at the defense for the Islanders, and it's just not there. Well, you look at the offense for the Rangers, and aside from that top line, Panarin, Zibanejad, probably Kreider,
right?
Trocheck, okay, Cheadle,
right?
Barclay Goodrow, Lafreniere.
I feel like Barclay Goodrow's A. He's just like probably a good locker room guy. He seemed like a good locker room guy. I don't think it's necessarily performance related, but yeah, you can't put him on a list of reasons you're gonna win.
No, but I mean,
he's a good piece.
I think what the Rangers messed up on is that the year that they went and because they had two first overall picks in a row, right? And they spent them on Lafreniere and Kakko.
Right.
Kakko is a good player, and we've seen it. And
also,
Lafreniere,
Kakko, good name.
And Lafreniere is a good player, and we've seen it, but they're nowhere near the number one pick that they thought that they were going to be. So
not what you would call a bust, but just not.
I don't think they're busts.
They're pieces of a team. They're not the best.
They're not the cornerstones.
Right, exactly.
And they wanted them to be cornerstones. They wanted them to be when Panarin and Zibanejad get too old. That was going to be their guys, and it's
when you use those number one picks, you want them to be something to build around.
Yeah,
and
they're just pieces they haven't
of a puzzle.
Been there. Yeah. Although sneaky great signing for them, they got Blake Wheeler to a $800,000 contract.
That's pretty crazy.
That's pretty great. And I mean, I think it's latent with incentives and all this other kind of stuff, which is fine because that.
But just having a name like Blake Wheeler playing for you for under $1 million is nuts.
But it's great because you get Blake Wheeler and you get what I think is their biggest question mark right now is their center depth.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a guy that can play center, and typically plays right wing, but can play center.
Yeah,
and he's somebody that can be a body mover in front of that net and a screen and whatnot. And you get a good two-way guy there. Heard there was maybe some issues in the locker room in Winnipeg, but there all kinds of issues in the locker room.
And when you're in a place for so long with no success, there's gonna be, it's just more of a get me the fuck out of here problems, probably.
And I think their fourth line actually doesn't look bad with Nick Bonino, Jimmy Vesey, and Tyler Pitlick.
I like Bonino.
Yeah, I like him too. I think he's a great face-off guy. He's lost a step over the years, and I think the fourth line suits him. Same with Jimmy Vesey and same with Tyler Pitlick. I think
it's a roster that.
It's a roster that should be better than it is, but for some reason we've seen it's not there. But their defense, Adam Fox, Jacob Trouba, Keandre Miller, Ryan Lindgren, I like all four of those guys. After that,
it's gonna be kind of a revolving
Eric
door of guys for those last
Zachary
two.
Jones, Brandon Schneider, maybe. I mean, he's on his last year of his ELC. This is probably going to be some of the first and only actual NHL time he's going to see.
Right.
But I think he's going to slot into like that seventh defenseman area, and he might not see a lot of time there either. But then your goaltending, you got Shesterkin, so you have a chance to win. Your backup goaltender, however, is quick, and I think
dude, he's a Stanley Cup winning, two-time Stanley Cup winning goaltender.
I understand what he was. I'm not saying what he is now.
He had that Phil Kessel contract last year.
He did. Him and Phil won a cup.
He had that recliner contract, dude.
And you know what? Quick was what they needed at the time, because if for any reason, because the Knights had a lot of issues with goaltending last year, if one of them went down. Well,
the way I look at backup goaltenders in the NHL is like, unless you have like a serious heir to the throne or heir apparent that's gonna you have like, you know what I mean, like they've got a great goaltender, right? Not gonna last. Goalies don't last forever.
No.
Right. So unless you've got a clear number two young guy that you're grooming to be the next guy, a guy like Quick is as good as anybody else, because
exactly,
doesn't matter age, doesn't matter whatever. It's like he's been there, done that. He knows how to do his fucking job as a backup.
And in a backup role in New York, he's not gonna bat an eye at that $825,000 contract that he's getting.
Well, and he's one of those guys who's made a ton of money over his career, so. Obviously, the goal is to make as much money as you can in pro sports before it's over. But it's like, I think he's a guy who's probably just happy to be on a roster.
Agreed.
And you don't want somebody to get injured and have him to be your only shot. But if he can just get in there for some rest days and get, you know what I mean, and I think it's totally fine. It's a good move.
I like him there at that spot as a backup, as a true backup.
Right.
Like I think
Igor,
not
a back and forth guy. No.
I think Igor's gonna take the lion's share of the game. It's gonna be like 60, 70 games.
Yeah.
And that's
what I'm saying. Having Quick be there just for rest days, and you know what I mean, like
second half of back-to-backs.
He'll be fine.
Like,
I think it'll be totally.
I don't mind that at all. Plus, you know, if you wanna look at another positive for New York, for the Rangers at least, their projected cap space at this point is just over 1.5 million, which is that's fine. That's another plug and play type player if they needed to go after one.
Right. Just kind of once you get into the season, see how things are going. You got enough room to pick up a decent guy.
But I mean, like, if they decided to, at the deadline, they could add, and I think that they probably will.
Right.
They probably will add, honestly. Chris Drury did a pretty good job building this lineup, this team, and it's just the only problem that I see with it all. I mean, the front office did their job. So did head coaching. I think head coaching did its job. Peter Laviolette is going to be an interesting choice this year. I think this is his first year as Rangers head coach, which is, you know, that's going to be interesting to see what he can get out of these guys. But for whatever reason, they just haven't lived up to what they should be.
Can't get over the hump. And it's one of those things where luckily they've kept the roster together that has kind of been what, you know, the roster that should have been. And now you add a new coach in there, a seasoned guy that's going to change things around to kind of his culture, his way of thinking. So maybe that's the kick in the butt they're going to need.
I think with him there, hopefully they can change some stuff. But
what's their grade?
Their grade is a solid C.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a bad team. It's not a good team.
Bunch of C's for the city by the sea.
But the problem with them is that I still don't know if they make playoffs with this roster.
Yeah, it's
going to depend on how far. It's going to come down to the
very wire. It's going to come down to the wire.
It's going to come down to how far Shesterkin can hold them.
Yeah, and we already got Carolina, New Jersey. We're definitely getting in.
They're in for sure.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to Philadelphia. It just keeps getting worse.
Oh, sure does.
The Flyers, very unutilized orange color. This Metro division with the Islanders and the Flyers.
Two
and the
of the three teams with orange in their uniforms.
What do we got here? We got Cam Atkinson. We got Sean Couturier.
Mm-hmm.
We got
Exactly.
Scott Lawton, Owen Tippett. This one's just a good name, Zayd Wisdom.
Yeah, I like him. I don't think he's gonna get any playing time, but I like him.
Just a good name. What do we got in the back here? Ryan Ellis. God, Jesus, Mark Stahl.
Ryan Ellis is on long-term injury reserve. I think he's gonna be out for quite some time.
Jesus Christ, yeah, this is not looking good.
No, it
back
isn't.
end.
It is
Cam
not.
York. Their goaltending situation doesn't look much better. Carter Hart.
Scary, honestly. That is high ceiling and extremely low floor.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you got for the Flyers, man?
All right,
I don't got a lot.
This isn't gonna be pretty. Sean Couturier, great. Cam Atkinson, not so great, but he'll suffice. Not in a top role, but that's what he's playing. Travis Konechny also should probably not be in a top role. Joel Farabee, Scott Lawton, Man, Morgan Frost was supposed to be good. He's not that. Nick Delorier is there to punch people, and he does that very well. Which, fine. That's fine.
I mean, you got to have that guy in Philadelphia if you're not punching people.
You got to have that guy in Philadelphia, and he is 100% that guy.
Hey, if we're going to suck, we're going to punch at least.
And, bro, that's it.
I mean, that's crazy.
On the front line, that is all they have. I mean, Owen Tippett. No. I mean, he's 1 year left on his RFA deal, but still, it's just not there. This team is awful. This team is just awful.
Bad team.
It's a bad team.
Bad team.
On the defense, Travis Sanheim is pretty good. Sean Walker, who I like Sean Walker a lot, but not in a top 4. You know what I mean? Cam York, actually got a chance to meet Cam York over the summer at Narch. He is awesome. He's an awesome kid from Southern California. Really, really cool dude. They're gonna lean on him hard this year, and rightfully so, though.
Right.
He's a little young still, but I think with a little bit more, couple more years under his belt, this guy is gonna be a top 4, top 2 defenseman in this organization. I think he's gonna be a big time fan favorite. One name that I want to bring up from the defense is Rasmus Ristolainen.
Oh, yeah, I missed him, Ristolainen.
Now, Rasmus Ristolainen in Buffalo was touted as definitely their number 1 or number 2, depending on the day of the week. It was him or Rasmus Dahlin was who you wanted to go for. Ristolainen was offered up in this trade, and unfortunately, former GM of the Flyers did not do a wonderful job building this roster for long-term success. Right. He saw this name, and essentially he's like, "Ooh, Rasmus Ristolainen. This guy's a name that I've heard of, that most people have heard of, at least are hockey fans, because other people that aren't hockey fans would not know who the fuck Rasmus Ristolainen is." So he paid for the idea of a good defenseman. Right. Rasmus Ristolainen has the warts of Erik Karlsson, where he's not very good in his own end, but he's also not very good offensively. So he really doesn't play NHL well, to be honest. He's a great bottom 6 guy, and you can even sprinkle him in there for like middle defense time and whatnot.
Right.
But this is a guy that is going to be leaned on heavily because of 1, the cap it, 2, his age, and 3, just the name that he associates with this team. He's supposed to be the guy. He's not that. He's not that guy,
and not on this team, especially.
No, especially not on this team. This guy is rough, and Sanheim, he's gonna have to carry a lot of weight. Cam York is gonna have to carry a lot of weight. Sean Walker is gonna have to do a lot of work. The Aussie is just he's not there yet. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are just not there.
Yeah, I guess that's just the plight of a team that has this roster and has this track record, is that you're going to be forcing guys who aren't ready to be forced yet.
And I think a lot of it too is they looked at their goaltending before and they were like, ooh, we have Carter Hart. We're going to be great for a long time. And you know what? In a normal world, yeah, you would be great for a long time. Carter Hart is going through the same shit that Anaheim put John Gibson through. He sees upwards of 35 to 45 shots a night, and he's just burnt the fuck out.
That's
he can't play anymore. He's
the
burnt
way
out.
it is, dude.
They did go out and get Cal Peterson, who I don't know what you want to say about Cal Peterson. Last year was abysmal for him.
Right,
was just awful. In LA, he was the unquestioned number 1 starter. Lost that basically to Quick, and then Quick lost that to the kid from Alaska. You know what I mean? Like, there's
and it's just one of those things where they're gonna need a backup to take some of the pressure off Hart, because again, when you get that many shots on a game-to-game basis, you're gonna need some rest time. Otherwise,
if Cal Peterson can come in and be a good tandem goalie with Carter Hart,
right,
I think it helps both of them immensely. But this is the thing. Cal Peterson has to regain what he had in LA, not last year, year before, and year prior, which is never something you want to trade for a player for, is like hoping that they become who they were years ago. That's not okay, happens. Right? It's like I heard a GM for the Ducks one year, and I was much younger, so it's like, it was very, very long ago. And it's like, we're not trading for the player that he is. We're trading for the player that he used to be. And it's like that, when I was a kid, sounded stupid. And the more I've grown up, realized it was really fucking stupid. Right.
It doesn't make, in the sports world especially, that makes zero sense, because you're never going to be the guy you were.
No.
Like, once the drop off
only goes downhill unless you're Gretzky. You know what I mean?
It's just, and the Flyers are just a team that it seems like for too many years in a row, they've been a team that have needed a complete overhaul, and they've been reluctant to do that.
This is a team that has been reluctant to use the word rebuild. which is, I think it's hard in the sports market that is Philadelphia.
Of course, but it's also hard to suck in the sports market of Philadelphia. So it's like, would you rather have them angry because you're rebuilding for a couple of years and then you're going to be good, so they're going to forget all about that, or just be continuously angry because you suck all the time?
I just think it's tough in Philly with the fans that there are. It's just it's when you look at the rest of the sports market, and they're also competing for the dollars that people can spend. And, and the Broad Street Bullies have not been
with
that.
With the success of the Eagles.
Exactly.
Now would be the time, because at least they've got somebody good to hang their hat on.
But I mean, the 76ers are getting better.
Right, but I'm just but again, having these other teams being good right now takes a little bit of the pressure off, to where they're gonna have to rebuild. Hockey teams have to rebuild. Like, you can, in other sports, sometimes you can get away with reformatting your team and gaining success without a complete rebuild of your team. Hockey's not really one of those sports.
No.
Like, there are certain times when you just have to put a stop to it and just let's fucking reboot the computer, and they just don't do it.
And here's two more things about the Flyers that I find interesting. Head coach this year, John Tortorella.
Another name that just keeps floating around the league, and I'm just like...
But versus Babcock.
I'd take Tortorella.
Tortorella has never been I've never heard anybody say that Tortorella is a bad dude.
No.
They just say he's a hard ass.
He's a hard ass and he's intense.
And I think for this team, a hard ass is going to be the way to go.
He's a perfect fit for Philadelphia as a culture, as everything.
Exactly. It would be nice to have somebody in the,
doesn't have the roster.
room. No, he doesn't have the roster to work with. But he didn't have the roster to work with in Columbus either, and they still sucked. So I mean, I really don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like a coach like that could be the changing factor for your team if you had the roster or even the prospective roster.
Yeah.
They don't even have that. They don't have guys where you're like, oh, that guy might be the guy. And they don't even have that. And
the last I will say about this team, I brought it up with the Rangers and how their cap situation looks actually pretty decent. They still have, $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever. And they can go out and add somebody at the deadline if they needed to. I want to take a guess as to what Philly's cap space looks like.
I don't know. Negative.
It's not negative. That's the Islanders actually. They're negative about 400,000.
Let's see. 600,000.
Very close. $867,000.
Yeah, that's no bueno for the See, having a low amount but then having a good roster is one thing, but having a shit roster and no money to work with,
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
It's awful.
So
man.
What's their grade?
This team is a D+ at the best of times.
D+. All right, you fit right in.
They are 100%.
Just like the aforementioned Blue Jackets.
They are 100% missing playoffs.
All right.
If anybody thinks that they're gonna make playoffs, they need to rethink their life.
Moving on to the jewel of the NHL, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Kyle Dubas. Holy shit.
Obviously still got oldie but goodie Jeff Carter, Sid the Kid, Lars Eller, Jake Guentzel, Una Kopanen, Evgeny Malkin, Matt Nieto, former Shark, Alex Nylander.
I like him.
Me too. Ricky Raquel.
Don't like him.
Brandon Rust. Riley Smith. Eric Carlson, obvi. Chris Letang. Marcus Peterson. Ryan Shea. And then in Tristan Jarry, they've got Nedeljkovic.
Yeah, just picked him up, which was a smart move on their part, I think.
What do you got for the Pengies?
Let's not forget that the Penguins missed playoffs last year by a single point. They lost their spot to the Florida Panthers, and then the Florida Panthers went on that crazy run.
And all they had to do
was beat Chicago. It was the only thing that they had to do, and they failed to do it. They didn't do it. I guess they just didn't get up for that game.
Hey, but they didn't have Eric Carlson, bro.
I mean, let's be honest. If Eric Carlson was on the team, they might have won that game because they needed goals, right?
Right.
They needed goals. They didn't need the defense that night. They needed goals.
Right.
This team is flawed. This team is very, very flawed.
Team is old.
You've got Sidney Crosby, who's 36, but he's still Sidney Crosby. You've got Evgeny Malkin.
Did you see that clip of him outlining the McDonald's logo?
Yes,
in this warm-up.
I did.
It's so sick, dude.
I mean, God, the guy. Like normally, like you would look at something like that and go like, look at this fucking guy. But because of how good Crosby is in the hands and everything, you're just that's fucking sick.
And he's 36, and you're just like, it's just, yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
Evgeny Malkin, 37. He's old, man, but he's Evgeny Malkin. Jake Guentzel is 28 somehow. You know what I mean? Like,
well, a lot of these guys, like, so we had some comments about our Stamkos takes about the little clip about the non-phone call, non-contract offer shit, and people be like, well, he's fucking old, blah blah blah. Look at the names the names you just named off on this Pittsburgh team, without their ages attached, and someone looks at that and say, could this team win the cup this year? You'd be an idiot not to say yes, right? Just because of not just their names, but their skill level at any age. Exactly. And it's like they're just good. It kind of pisses me off that they've been good for so long. I'm glad they missed the playoffs last year, but it's like
the team is a very strong team. Like always they are, but they have flaws, man. Like top two centers, Crosby, Malkin. That's amazing. Other than that, what are your wings look like? You got Jake Gensel, you got Brian Rust, you got Ricky Raquel. They just got Riley Smith, but Vegas didn't even want Riley Smith.
Right. You're not blowing anybody's hair back with those on the wings.
It's not great. It's not great. Like, it would have been great if they would have been able to go out and get somebody like Patrick Kane or Tarasenko or something like that, right? You know,
with the centers, with Crosby and Malkin as your top two centers, it's like you want to add. You need top guy. You need at least one top guy on each of those lines.
It would be helpful to have
4
some
serviceable
help,
guys,
right?
Yeah,
it's like back when the Sharks were kicking everybody like completely into next week. They had Thornton in the middle, and they even had Marleau on the wing there.
Right.
And it's like, so you focus all your energy on Thornton and Marleau, you forget there's Setaguchi there on the side, and then he puts up all the like world beating numbers and whatnot.
Well, and that's like the Joe Thornton's first year with Jonathan Chichu, and it's just like Chichu ain't that good.
No, he's not. He
had a fucking Rocket Richard season,
exactly,
because nobody was paying attention to him.
Yeah,
and he got the puck every goddamn time, and did that weird flailing slap shot one timer where he almost fell over every time, and it just went in because nobody was covering.
And I'm not saying that's something that you can replicate and you should try to replicate. I'm not saying that at all. However, you have one of the best playmakers the game's ever seen in Crosby. You have one of the best power forwards the game's ever seen in Malkin. If you build around those two guys and not just go in and say, hey, this guy could be good,
right,
or this guy has a high ceiling,
right,
or this guy likes to shoot the puck, like, but you guys aren't building shit.
With names like those on a line, right? Everybody knows where to focus defensively if they don't have not a decoy, but you need another guy that they're worried about.
Yeah,
people aren't worried about Rust out there. People aren't worried about Ricky Raquel.
No,
like, you know what I'm saying.
Or should they be after watching him play in Anaheim for so many years?
But you know what I'm saying. So it's like you have Malkin, but if they can just focus defensively on what Malkin's going to do, they don't really got to worry about these two guys. You know what I mean? You need another guy.
And guess what? Malkin and Crosby will still beat you.
Of course.
They'll still beat you. They're older, but they will still beat you.
But then you'll miss the playoffs by a point.
But exactly. It's like they don't have any other depth scoring other than that.
Right.
Now they added Karlsson, and they have Letang, they're great. Well, Karlsson is a good goal scoring defenseman. Letang is a good defenseman.
Right.
Letang is just awesome. Other than that, Ryan Graves,
right?
Marcus Pettersson,
right? They come out hot on that first defensive line, and then after
Oliver
that,
Joseph.
And there's really no way you can't split up Letang and Karlsson because they need to complement each other.
I think they have to, though.
Yeah, I guess. If they had one or two more guys that were solid,
I mean, like,
you wouldn't have to, but like
hero line, maybe. Like, you put your hero line out there. It's more than likely is gonna be Crosby, Malkin, and then probably Riley Smith, if I had to guess.
Right.
And then your hero back end would Karlsson and Letang, which
But they're such different players. That's why I'm saying it's like with Karlsson, it's like you're gonna have to put him with a shitty stay-at-home defenseman to actually have some defense played on that line.
Exactly.
Because you don't have another top stay-at-home defenseman there. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, it's just, I don't know. It's going to be a confusing season for the Ducks.
But then the more and more
Freudian slip.
But then the more and more you look at this team, and it's like, you think about, okay, that's their hero line. The hero line is only going to come out there for maybe like a minute a game.
Right.
And that's when they're either down.
Yeah, when they're needed.
And they need to get a goal, or they're up by one and need to hold the goal.
Right.
Other than that,
it's not happening.
That team's not coming out there. And their goaltending, let's be honest, it's suspect. You've got Tristan Jarry, who has not been the Tristan Jarry that they signed him to that massive $5.35 million deal.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not sold on him.
No. And then you've got Nedeljkovic, who was supposed to be great. He was great in Carolina 5 years ago.
Right.
And then he played in Detroit for a couple of years and was awful.
Yeah.
But he was playing in Detroit, a team that kind of defensively mirrors this team. Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to say that Nedeljkovic can't get it back, because he's 27. He's got He's got his best goalie years ahead of him now.
I think their best bet, though, is for Tristan Jarry to be able to take the load.
Tristan Jarry needs to take the load, but I think what they got Nedeljkovic for was the ability to go tandem.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of teams are doing now is they want to do the tandem goaltending thing. It saves the goaltenders a lot
I think you're going to see a lot of teams start out that way and then figure out that number 2 guy ain't the guy.
Agreed.
What grade does Pittsburgh get?
It's sad to say because I really do like Crosby. Like he's such a good leader. You know what I mean? And like, even if he's a little baby bitch about a lot of shit.
And every year they whip out that graphic of his childhood freezer that he's nailed with the pucks.
I mean, I want to see this team do well for some reason. I don't. I like their GM. I like Kyle Dubas. I think he's a smart GM, even though he telegraphs all his moves by about 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Sullivan, I just don't think is going to be able to get the production out of these guys, and I put him at a C+ at the very best.
I agree.
The team will not make playoffs again, sadly enough.
All right, our final team of the Metro Division.
Is this final now?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, we moved right along, didn't we?
We did. Well, it's been a fucking hour and a half.
Oh, well, shit. Never mind.
Washington Capitals, another team full of names, but they're getting old, man. Nicholas Backstrom. We got Patrick Dubé, Ryan Hoffer, Evgeny Knutson, Anthony Mantha, Sonny Milano.
I like Sonny Milano.
TJ Oshie, Alex Ovechkin, Max Pacioretty.
Mm-hmm. That was a sneaky signing. They got patches. That was a good signing.
Dylan Strome, Riley Sutter, Tom Wilson, John Carlson on the back end. We got Nick Jensen, Lucas Johansson, Trevor Van Riemsdyk, the lesser known Van Riemsdyk.
TDR.
Rasmus Sandin,
good player.
Goaltending, we've got Darcy Kemper, and a host of other names.
And probably go Charlie Lindgren as their backup there.
Probably. What do you think the Caps are gonna? What do you think this roster is like?
In very short, this year for the Caps is going to be Alexander Ovechkin and his merry men.
Yeah.
It's I think
seems like that's what it's been.
Yeah,
for a
it's
minute.
true. But I think what this is more than anything is I think the Caps know what they are. I think the front office knows exactly what's going on here, and it's basically we are going to surround Ovechkin with people that can kind of get by, and we're not going to spend a ton of money.
I think,
but we are going to basically make it to where Ovechkin can beat Gretzky's goal record.
That's so funny. I was just going to say that maybe this is a non-Capital fan, and I'm not a Capital hater. I like the Capitals, actually.
I do too.
If you were to put them up against the Penguins, I'll take them. But it does seem like that. It seems like who can we get in there that can have a little bit of puck control and then just get the puck to Ovechkin so he can fucking break some records.
Yep.
And that's definitely what last year seemed like.
Yep.
And again, they made a couple decent moves, but moves that are going to favor Ovechkin and his amount of puck time.
Agreed. And
nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think Ovi is going to be fantastic. People give him shit. You know, it's just like, oh, he doesn't move all that much on the power play. It's like, yeah, but he still pots like every fucking power play goal.
Right.
He's $9.5 million, but he's worth every fucking cent of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's a great hockey player.
He's a generational player.
Exactly.
He's the Steven Stamkos of the rant last week. He's the Sidney Crosby. He's the guy that you give him a contract, you let him score fucking goals if he's still willing to be out there with his silver fox hairdo.
I mean, you know, his best buddy is Nick Backstrom, and
right.
You know, and there's huge chemistry.
And he's still
there.
a draw for Russian players who just want to fucking play there and play with him.
I mean, you got on his, probably more than likely his right wing will end up being either Anthony Mantha or TJ Oshie.
Yeah,
both guys are great in that scenario. They might even throw Tom Wilson up there, who's basically just a pair of fists with skates. And and I like the makeup of the team for what they are. They know they're not gonna go out there and blow the world up. They're not gonna be that challenging for the division team as they always are.
Right.
They're just going out there to see how many OV can score. And that's okay. And I think the fan base knows what they are too. They're not expecting. Plus, they're probably still fat and happy off of their cup win the year before COVID.
Well, and that's
and all
the
that.
beautiful thing about pro sports. You just get that championship in, and it gains you some leeway for the next few years.
So it's just like they've got time, and I think the fans know that too. And I think everybody's expecting.
Now let's get OV the records, and
I think everybody's expecting. Let's just get OV his record. Let's get where we need to be with that, and then we can.
And I just kind of like blacked out for the last 30 seconds thinking about getting somebody to draw me a graphic of a pair of fists wearing skates to put on a t-shirt.
That a kid. Sorry. And just have a somewhat of a beard on it, and just
all. I might just do it all lettering. A pair of fists with skates. Like, I don't know. Anyways, look for some new shirts in the merch store.
There you go. Other than that, I mean, look at the team. They're a little bit older and whatnot. Once the guys like Ov and Backstrom and Kuznetsov and Oshie are gone, that's a bunch of their cap that's going to be open. Right. And they can then
then it's time to retool.
Yeah, then they just go and rebuild.
And then it'll be fine because once Ovi's gone, this like, let's get him the record. This whole, like, since the cup, it has been a totally different direction for this team. Yeah. Obviously, every team wants to win the cup. But it's not like, it doesn't seem like it's their main priority. Maybe that's just outside looking in.
I don't think it's their main priority right now.
But once, like you said, once Ov gets his record and he can retire happy, obviously Backstrom's going to be going shortly after that, if not at the same time.
Basically same time. I think they're going to be a tandem
Oshie,
deal.
Same thing. Like, all these guys are getting to the tail end, and once that Ovechkin era is over, they're all going to be fine with hanging it up, and you're going to have a shitload of cap space to flip this thing over.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like they're going to be able to be really active in free agency. They're going to be, I mean, the team looks like it's set up to be great down the road, and it's going to be mediocre to pretty good this season because they're just hoping Ovi gets his goals.
And he's gonna.
And he's gonna. And then you get their goaltending, which looks like, Darcy Kemper is not bad. He's not bad. He's actually a very good goalie. Playing a lot more of the games might be a little bit harder on him. Just happens. But Charlie Lindgren as your backup, I think we all know what that is. Is like Charlie Lindgren, you're just there to be that rest dude.
Good stat taker.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good clipboard guy.
Pretty much. Wears the hat the right way. You know what I mean?
Right. So what are the Caps getting? What's their too early grade? Daniel?
Too early grade. I actually see the Caps as a little bit around the same kind of way as the Rangers, as the Pens. I think all three of those teams, Rangers, Pens, and Caps, are going to be fighting for that last playoff spot in this division.
Right.
And you know what? If it's me, I probably go with the Caps taking that spot over anybody else, and I give them a C+. They're not a bad team by any means. They're just not a good team.
So
but I just think they know what they are.
If you're listening to Daniel, this is a very evenly matched division, except for Carolina and New Jersey.
Yeah,
Carolina, New Jersey up here. Everybody else kind of here.
Everybody's just kind of there.
Flyers and Blue Jackets.
Oh, the Flyers and Blue Jackets are awful. It is.
I think you're right. It's going to be a three-way battle between the Islanders, the Rangers, and the Capitals for that last spot.
There are 4 standout teams in this division. 2 of them are standout good. 2 of them are standout bad. The other ones are just mediocre.
Yeah. All right, dude. Successful.
Yeah.
You're the man.
I try.
Daniel, bringing the hockey knowledge.
Give it a shot.
Joey is officially making me call you not a co-host, but you are a resident hockey expert.
I am okay with that.
Fuck it, he's a co-host, Joey. He just did longer than you did on this show.
I mean,
but we are coming right back with Joey's Quickies and finish the show out. So thank you, buddy.
Oh, thank you, big guy.
So fantastic. If you're wanting to see what all these grades were without having to rewind, I will be posting the graphic again. And stay tuned for next week. We're going to be doing the Pacific.
Oh, we're going to Pacific next.
We're going Pacific. We got to get it out of the way. I don't want it to be the last one we talk about. We just got to rip the Band-Aid off.
Oh, yep. That's
all right.
Oh, painful. Okay.
All right, we'll be right back with Joey. All right, buddy.
Oh shit! Already.
All right, buddy. We're back. That was a good little breakdown with Daniel there, and our 2 early roster grades for the Atlantic Division or the Metropolitan Division in the NHL, and we're gonna close out this show strong with our first Joey's Quickies in like 2 months.
Wow.
What do you got for us, dude?
This is a lot of pressure, dude.
A lot of pressure.
I don't know if you guys
You
have
even
touched
got a new logo.
I know. Jeez. I don't know if you guys have touched on it, but I feel like we're in that stage now of Connor Bedard. Whatever he does is going to be amazing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you saw that clip of him doing that sauce pass to Athanasiou.
Oh yeah.
And it was like it was a nice pass. But it was a pass.
For those of you who don't know who Connor Bedard is, NHL first-round pick, Chicago Blackhawks, the heir apparent there in Chicago. And everything he does amazing, or just everything he does is going to be a story?
Well, that's the whole thing is like, you know, I mean, there was a clip that they had afterwards where he was like just skating around the entire defense, and I can't remember who they're playing, but he was making them look like a bunch of chumps, and like that was great to show. 100%. But like the other one where it's like, oh, just throws an amazing sauce pass over, and it's like it was a sauce pass. I don't know about amazing sauce pass, but like,
yeah, I mean,
now we're gonna like everything is gonna be like,
I think
about Bedard, you know,
it is preseason, right? So we really can't put too much stock into it. NHL, I think above all other preseasons, there's more starters playing, and you know, it's you go to football and you go to other sports during the preseason. It is basically an evaluation. I mean, NHL preseason evaluation too, but with those other ones, they literally don't start their starters during preseason most of the time. You know what I mean? They get a couple snaps or a couple plays and then they're out for the entire game. NHL, it's not one of those things where you have 53 guys out there to choose from. It's like, no, you set your lines at the beginning of the game. So if your starters are there, they're playing the whole game, right? So you do get to see these big names out there playing in the preseason. Connor Bedard, I think anytime a first-round pick is kind of doing what he's supposed to do, it's going to be a big deal, right? Because there's more busts than there is wins when it comes to draft picks, right? That's just kind of the way it goes. And him being the new generational talent coming through the NHL, I mean, yeah, he's looking great. But again, he's still on Chicago. So it's like, do they have the roster to support that this year? I don't think so. Can he carry the Blackhawks to a like anything not terrible is going to be a success for the Blackhawks this year, right? Because they just don't have the roster. Their success has been garbage the last couple of years. So it's like, even if they're mediocre and he makes them mediocre, it's a success, right? Can he carry him to a championship? No. Hockey's not that sport. You know what I mean? Ask Connor McDavid.
Not anymore, yeah. You
can't one guy, or they have two guys. They got Leon Draisaitl too in Edmonton, and they couldn't carry them to a championship. Yeah. You know what I mean? They still won't. And it's like, it's a very much a team effort. So I think Connor Bedard watch this year is just going to be like, what kind of numbers can he put up? Who gives a fuck how the team does?
Right.
What kind of numbies is he putting on the stat line?
Interesting.
I think, I mean, he's good. The guy's good. He's going to be good.
Anytime. Try that shit in a beer league, bro, and see what happens.
Try that shit in a small town.
The other thing is kind of
fudge rounds.
Yeah, right. The other thing I was going to talk about is kind of along the same lines, how I was just kind of scrolling Twitter, and it made me laugh at how TSN was going crazy over Tyler Bertuzzi and like the fact that he didn't tape like the end of his stick.
Okay.
Like for the handle, it was just he doesn't tape his handle. They're like, he didn't tape a handle on his stick. That's crazy. And it's like, the stick's sticky.
Yeah, it's like that's all old head bullshit that are playing with Coho wooden sticks and shit.
Right, yeah.
If you pick up a modern hockey stick, there's a thing. I mean, I don't know. Every brand calls it something different, but they call it. It's a snake grip.
Yeah.
You grab that shit and your fucking glove sticks to it.
Yeah, you can't. You have to throw it off your hand.
Maybe he even when he didn't have that, he probably just did one thin layer of tape. Some people like a thinner stick. They don't want a big ass bulky handle.
Right.
Some people fucking wind the fucking tape up and make it as bulky as fucking possible.
No, and I personally, I do the thing where you twist it, and you have a ring going all the way around.
Fit your fingers in it. Yeah, I mean, you did when you played hockey. You don't do that. You don't play hockey anymore because I don't know. Let's not get into that.
But they were talking about how his tongues of his skates were pulled out, and like here's the thing, he's been doing this, right? It's not like
a lot of guys.
It's not
do
like
that.
It's not like he just started doing it, right?
So,
but it's like his tongue was out,
like they're calling it sloppy.
He was showing it. No, he was showing his elbow. They're like, this is wild that he's doing this, and it's like, is it just because he's in Toronto now?
Yeah. No, that's what it is. Daniel and I talked about this last week when we were talking about Toronto. It's like being on Toronto. It means an entire another level of scrutiny, not just about your playing,
right?
About your personal life. You know, what was it? We were talking about Mitch Marner going on vacation with his fucking girlfriend, and they're just like, well, he's not dedicated. Look at him. He's not. It's like, I can't go on vacation? You know what I mean? It's like the guy.
You're going to choke in the second round anyways, dude.
But it's just like, so it's just a whole nother level of like personal and scrutiny on a level that has nothing to do with your playing ability.
Right.
So whether it's your wardrobe or the amount of vacations you take or whatever else. But yeah, like you said, hockey players, all professional athletes, all of them pretty much have their superstitions and like the way they put their shit on a certain way before the game. They do this, that. It go all different types of shit that, whether you want to call it superstition or just a pattern or just something that they feel like I do it this way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it makes me feel centered.
Some people I remember when I was younger, I used to tie my laces around my, around the top. And then as I got older, I realized I want more free play in my ankle almost, you know what I mean? Right. So I wouldn't do that anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. I put on my stuff. I do it differently than most people because I don't like tying my skates with my hip pads on. So I put on my shin pads. I put my socks on. I tape everything. I put my skates on, tie my skates, and then I put my damn skates through the pants. It's not the easiest thing to do,
right?
But it just, I feel like shit when I'm bending over my hip pads trying to fucking tie my skates.
And I will say this: you had me do that the one time I went to go play ice hockey with you, and it was infinitely easier than what I assumed would have happened.
And now they have like the hip pads where you can unzip the leg, so you got a big wide.
Yeah,
berth,
it's wider.
So your skate doesn't get stuck in there and shit. Doesn't matter, but yeah, it's not odd that Tyler Bertuzzi
not at all.
Some
and
weird shit with
he's done this stuff. Yeah.
Kyle Connolly, center on the Loosey Goosey, he this last game was skating with a pair of Logan Couture skates that he got at the sale, the equipment sale.
Yeah,
right?
Good for him.
They had the equipment managers like Sharpie markings on the blades and everything, and he was just like, I got skates. He's like, but when I went there and I saw that they were my size, I was like, I gotta get these. I gotta get these, right? But then he's skating out there during warm-ups, and he's like, oh, this is going to take some getting used to. And I'm like, what, they don't fit? He's like, oh, no, they fit. He's like, but all of the... So if you've never worn hockey skates, like, they look like they're made of fabric, which they are, but it's fabric that is coated in, like, basically fucking some of the hardest plastic, like, because you don't want... pucks hurt.
Right.
So they're very, very secure and have different types of, like... polymers and shit that keep everything tight. Most hockey players break all that shit. So it moves, and like you were saying with Tyler Bertuzzi and his tongue's flipped over, and you're just like, are those things even tied? It's just like, when you've been on ice skates since you were 2 years old, you don't need that ankle tightness like we do as old people just to keep our balance.
Right.
Like, they don't even... ice skating to them is no different than walking, right? So when they're looking for agility... if you look at most professional hockey player skates, they aren't tied above the ball of their ankle. You know what I mean? And Logan Couture had everything broken in there, so it was literally like it was just like a noodle.
Wow.
Just tied around your foot like a fucking slip-on.
Wow.
And so again,
well, they say that you should be able to wear your skates without socks. Like, that's how comforting it should be.
And comfort aside, just movement-wise, everything else-wise.
Yeah, I guess that's what
a guy like Logan Couture, who is like an agility type player, you can see...
There is no guy like Logan Couture.
You can see like why he would want that extra motion, because you can cut, you can turn sharper angles, because you're not as stiff and whatever, you know what I mean? So, just an example of like why that's a stupid comment to make about Tyler Bertuzzi, but
it was a stupid comment.
But it is.
That's why I brought it up.
Toronto,
right? It's very stupid.
But I was glad that you brought it up because, like I said, I talked about that last week about being in Toronto is going to get a lot of weird scrutiny about shit that doesn't matter.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, there you go, right out the gate.
Right off the gate.
It's like, oh, is he playing good? I don't know if he's playing good, but you can see his elbow pads and his stick's not.
Which that was illegal, right? You weren't allowed to do that in the league for a long time.
Right.
But it's just like, for someone like us who play, I mean, Wayno does it. He used to do it all the time. You know what I mean? I used to do it. And then I stopped wearing elbow pads.
I'm going to play in a cutoff jersey here pretty soon, dude.
You're a
just
fucking
a tank top.
legend, dude.
I'm going to turn my loosey-goosey jersey into a tank top.
That's a legend. Hey, Daniel, get on that, dude.
What else we got?
I have two more things.
Okay.
I want to end on this one, so I'm going to do this one. I don't know if you have it up there because I don't know what the I don't know what you have for the breakdown. But Michael Gambon, who played Albus Dumbledore.
Oh yeah,
for my fellow nerds out there,
the second
he played. Yeah, the second Dumbledore has passed away.
Yeah. R.I.P. Dumbledore, dude. Yeah, both Dumbledores are dead. Like he got the job because Dumbledore died.
Yeah. Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?
Yeah. Yeah. Andy was bumming, dude. Yeah. We told him, and he was just like, oh. He wasn't bumming. He was his buddy.
And he's like, he died twice.
His buddy at FaceTime at the time was just like, I just finished the last Harry Potter, and he's just like, Dumbledore died. And he was like, not in this movie. He's like, no, in real life, they're both dead.
I love it.
He's like, all right, dude,
that's awesome.
Have a little compassion.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to end on. Quavo, a third of the Migos.
I thought you were going to say Quaalude. I was like, we're going back there again, finance boy.
Quavo,
is it Quavo or Quavo? I always want to. I know it's Quavo, but I always want to say Quavo.
Yeah, it does look along those lines. Anyways. He went to France and he paid $100,000 for a hot dog that had a little bit of mustard, a little bit of ketchup.
What was so fancy?
It had gold flakes on top of it.
Okay, that's always the rub with me.
And dude, us looking at it, right? It's like, if we had that money, we wouldn't be spending it on shit like that. But for someone who has millions upon millions of dollars like him, obviously $100,000 ain't shit.
It's the gold flake thing that pisses me off when it comes to these expensive foods.
Right.
It's a regular food with gold flake on top,
which you can buy from Amazon for like 10 cents. And
the thing with me is like, I have no problem with you buying like a crazy expensive, $1,000 steak or whatever, but usually if you go to Asia and do that, it's because it's the rarest piece of meat on planet Earth.
Yeah.
It's the rarest truffles that they grab.
And that's what I'm saying. This was a hot dog.
This was a regular ass hot dog.
And when he took a bite out of it, it looked like instant regret, right? Because it's like, it probably wasn't even that good.
That's why I hate it. Like they were like, oh, we got a $300 margarita at our place. It's like, it's a margarita with gold flake on top. I hate that. That is because I love food.
Yeah.
And
me too.
And I have no problem paying a lot of money for good food. Right? I mean, obviously not $100,000, but
right.
I will pay for a good restaurant for good food. I love it.
Right.
But I want it to be not just because it's a famous restaurant. That's why it costs. Not just because there's gold flake on top. Like that's a cop out.
Right.
Like make it worth it for what it is.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? If it is a $100 fucking shot of fucking whiskey,
it better be aged for 3,000
Yeah, you know what
years.
I mean? Like, give me a readout of why it costs this much. And all it is there's some gold flakes sprinkled on top. And eat my dick.
And so I bring this up.
Gold flake.
And so I bring this up because, number one, I'm not knocking Quavo, because if you got the money, it's your money.
But that's
do
just
what
a
you want
stupid
with
move,
it.
though. Go pay a bunch of money for a hot dog from a Michelin
dude, what is $100,000 to him, though? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. So, like, I'm not, like, not knocking him. It's his
disgusting.
money. Do what you want, right? My point is, moral of the story, no matter how stupid of an idea you have, just if you know your audience,
right,
you can make some fucking money.
100%.
You can make some, because some people will never make that amount of money.
But the thing with me, like how easy it is to, especially for rich people. Like rich people are really easy to fool because they are looking for a reason to spend that money, right?
Yeah.
Make up a backstory about the damn hot dog. You don't just, it's a hot dog with some mustard and some gold flake. It's like, no, this hot dog has been steamed in the vaginal juices of Gwyneth Paltrow. Like, you know what I'm saying? Make up a story. It don't have to be real.
Right.
Like, make up the most obscure story that nobody can fact check, and then that's the story. You know what I mean? It's just like that's why the gold flake thing is so bullshit, because that's got a $1,500 steak. Oh yeah, what kind of cow did it come from? Oh, I don't know, but it was wrapped in gold flake.
That's like that whole his salt bay shit, because that's pretty much what it all is now, you know. And it's like $1,000 steaks and stuff, and it's like, dude, why even do that when I can make it at home?
Right, and that's a good example, because that is just social media driven expense, because his food ain't even that good right here.
Yeah,
I haven't eaten there because it doesn't even look that good. like you said, the shit at the Salt Bay restaurants, it looks like some shit you could make at home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I don't know where they're getting their beef from, but it's also like, it's 2023. I can order Wagyu right now online if I wanted to, and have
Snake River Farms.
I could order it from Japan and have it shipped to my house in a cooler. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
there's a company called Fossil Farms that will send you like kangaroo steaks and alligator and all kinds of different stuff, dude. So like, you can get whatever you want, dude. Why would you spend it on
all you expensive food making chefs out there? You gotta step your game up.
Yep.
Make it worth our while.
Make it worth our while, dude.
And we're gonna spend that hard-earned Betalytics money on some expensive,
Code PEAK1
on
25% off
expensive meats.
That's it for Joey's Quickies, man. Thanks for
I'm happy to have you back. I'm happy to be back, dude. The Quickies back. I'm happy to have the new edition of the F1
Formula One Corner.
All right, let's finish this thing out strong with our shout out again. Thank God Joey already talked about the one dead guy we cared about, because I don't have to do it on the shout outs. Simone Biles. It's our shout out for this week. Simone Biles. Obviously, every time the Olympics come around, she's a big name, right? She's like the best gymnast in American history.
Is she the one who walked out due to
mental things?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe. Okay. But you can do that when you're the best.
I was just asking if it's the same person.
I'm like how you bring up a negative thing when I'm doing a fucking shout out for the person who is. When I say the best gymnast in American history, I don't think she gets the credit, probably because some naysayers like Joey out there, but you put Michael Phelps on a pedestal, right?
Yeah.
That's swimming, okay? She is.
They used to trash him too because he smokes weed.
And exactly, but the thing is she might be one of the best athletes in American history, not just because gymnastics as a whole, like swimming is swimming, right? Yes, you've got to be a fucking super athlete to be as successful as Michael Phelps or any of those super guys. But gymnastics, above all other sports and athletic endeavors, it is the thing that most super athletes in other sports can't do.
No, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because not only do you have to have the athletic prowess, but you have to have the artistic, the rhythm. There's a whole other bunch of shit that goes into it.
Absolutely.
And Simone Biles is back after a 2-year layoff. She hasn't done any gymnastics in 2 years. She's back this year. She's competing this week at the World Championships in Belgium and she's going to try to run down her 6th all-around world title in 10 years. Wow. And that's with a 2-year layoff. All right, that's been a freaking show. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for having me back, man. I'm glad we were able to work this stuff out.
Thanks for having me back.
I'm glad that we were able to work it all out.
You were never gone. You chose to be gone. It was a writer's strike.
I chose to be gone.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The union was keeping you out of here. You couldn't even promote the show.
I was so riddled with depression because I saw that you had returning co-hosts and you kept calling them co-hosts. And I was just like...
Well, I can correct that tomorrow because now my co-host is back and now Daniel's our hockey expert. Anyways, the show keeps moving on.
Thanks, guys.
Betalytics, League Swipe, bonfire.com/store/peak1 sports. Go support the people that support us and enjoy your sports.